All right, guys, we are live and welcome. This is Sean Symons, your PPG Grandpa, and this is PPG Grandpa's Paramotor Podcast, also known as clearproptv.com. If you want to listen to us and not see our beautiful faces, you can always go to paratalk.org. Let me run through our panel members real quick before we get to our guests. We got JP Tulo in the house. If you want to say hi to him, make sure you say hi to him because we're going to be doing one spin at about 8 o'clock, I assume. You're okay, JP, all the way to 8 o'clock, right? All right, good deal. Make sure you say hi to jptulo.com in the chat. Let them know that you're here. We also got Linda Anderson. She is our cheerleader. She's got her pom-poms. Yay, Linda Anderson. And you can always get up with her at paramomusa.com. We also got Brian Haybale Waller. You know what? We should have got you haybalewaller.com, but instead you can always find his shenanigans over at ppgbrian.com. We've got Flying Flamingo Jade in the house. Man, you got a bunch of different .coms. You're paramotorgirl.com, aren't you? So we can find her at paramotorgirl.com. Check out her shenanigans. She flies the trike, right? We also got Tomahawk Tees, and we'll talk more about that later. Will Fly, what's up, Will Fly? Welcome to the show. Will Fly, ppg.com. Check out his fun shenanigans over on his YouTube channel. And of course, we got Eric, and you can find him at ericlear.com. If you want to ask questions, please make sure you start your question with at what are you? You're at Eric ppglear.com on the chat, and he's going to make sure that we hear your questions. So today we have David. David, you've been flying for 6 months. We got a couple of oops that we want to talk about today, some blunders. This is episode 68. David, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's really nice to be here.
Now, before we start going on, we got to hear a little bit about yourself. So tell us a little bit about yourself. How'd you get into paramotors? And, what do you think of it? Didn't you fly drones too?
I did, and I think that's a gateway drug for a lot of us.
This is true.
Watching things in first person, and then I started doing litchi flights, the automated waypoint flights, so that I could get a lot longer flights, get down lower, do them over and over again, automated, to be able to get just right over the trees and things like that. With as low as possible. Low and slow, I think, is the way to go. I've tried, as far as aviation goes, I grew up in an aviation family. My father was a professor for Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University growing up. And so I was in small airplanes since, my first memories were in the back seat of a Cessna, not being tall enough to be able to see out, just getting kind of seasick, or airsick rather, as we flew around and landed in grass fields and stuff like that when I was younger. But so I logged some hours with my father when I was 16ish or something like that. And over time I think I tried just about everything aviation. I've tried fixed wing gliders, I've done tandem hang gliding, I've skydived a couple times. In my career before I retired, I've been retired for 11 years now. I was flying internationally, so I got to spend a whole lot of time in the passenger seats of commercial jets, and done a few helicopter flights and stuff like that. But nothing really sung to me to make the investment of doing until I saw PPG for the first time. And at that point, I've been flying drones for a while. And I was like, wow, to actually be the drone, to be able to fly in real time, instead of watching the camera footage that came in from a waypoint flight or something after the fact, to be able to see that with my own eyes with, nothing between me and the sky. That was just a level of romance, if I can use that word, that, I just thought was extremely attractive. And as tough as things have been over the last year, being locked down with COVID and us not being able to see our friends and family as much as we'd like, one of the bright sides of it is that you could get training fairly quickly without necessarily waiting months or years in advance. So my wife asked me what I wanted for my birthday, and I gave her a few ideas, and one of them was PPG training. And been watching a lot of videos online at that point for about a year, and I was familiar with Aviator, so she gave him a call, and a few weeks later, I was off to Lake Wales.
I guess that's better than getting socks and underwear for your birthday.
Well, I get that too, but it's what else does a middle-aged man need? Socks,
I
underwear, and PPG.
that that sounds like the next T-shirt that we should make: socks, underwear, and PPG. Now we're watching a video right now. Are you able to see this? The
I am.
video, David? Okay, so let's go ahead and go back to the beginning of this video here. Now, what are we watching on this video?
You're watching my first takeoff. This is Mike Brown talking me through, and off to his
Yep.
left is David Nickerson, who was being trained at the time, and he was my main guy at the very end. But Mike was the one that got me into the sky and did my first several flights with me. Um, uh, Fletch and Chris Garrison, AJ Goyne were some of the other trainers that I was training with back in late October of 2020 here. And so here you see
Hey,
me.
who's doing the screen share? Sorry to interrupt you,
It's
David.
me.
Did you uncheck the audio and
Yes.
optimize? It's a
Yes.
little bit glitchy. Sorry, go ahead, David.
No worries. The but yeah, so actually the best part I like about that particular video is Mike's voice. As we're going through, I've always thought that there probably aren't many jobs harder than being a paramotor instructor. Just trying to get guys to get out of get into a stable head and get that thing kited and get safely into the sky. And I've listened to Mike's voice over and over again, as we all like watching our first flights. And it always excites me to listen to the excitement in an instructor's voice as they finally get one of us noobs into the sky.
Now, what did you think when you first started doing this? That they were just going to make you taxi, or did you know that you were going to go full and fly?
Well, we all got a good night's sleep the day before, and I'm hoping that nobody is watching this that's going to training anytime soon and might remember this, but we were under the impression that all we were going to do is more kiting the next morning with the motor on. And then out of our class of 7, there was one guy who was really just a natural. He was the youngest guy in the group, and they started his motor up, and the next thing we know, we watched him run into the sky, and we're like, oh, today's the day. But we all had a great night's sleep the day before because we thought it was going to be an easy day, and we wouldn't have gotten much sleep if we thought we were going to be flying the next day. So it was a really good thing.
It's a pretty good trick they pull on everybody there.
Yep.
Yeah, I recognize Mike Brown walking there, even with the glitchy video like it is. So that's Mike. He's a good guy, man.
He's awesome.
And if you want to know where you can find David, just go to paramotorguest.com. That's where you're able to see our guests' main, I guess, social media. And your main social media right now is your YouTube, right? You don't have anything else that you use,
That's all
Instagram
I've
or
got.
anything?
I don't have too many fans, so and I really wasn't looking for any. But if anybody, if my mistakes or even my fun flights might entertain anybody for a few minutes, welcome to have you.
Well, when I first saw your channel, you had about 250 subscribers. Right now, the last time I saw you had 253 subscribers. So if anybody is watching and would like to see what's going on here, just go to paramotorguest.com and we'll go to David's channel. Now, this is your first landing?
This is my first landing. Yep.
That was a really good landing.
Hey, I've been married for quite a while. I know what to, when to do what I'm told. And the guys at Aviator did a really nice job of telling me exactly what I needed to know, when I needed to do it. And they've got the timing down so that they tell you, with the expectation of the appropriate pause, I suppose, depending on the student they're teaching. Yeah, I just did what I was told, and I thought all those guided flights were darn easy myself.
So you got the running into the sky, and I've checked out, a couple more of your videos. you do some pretty good editing, and you got some pretty good music going on. So let's go ahead and watch your next one here. This is full flight number 35. Darn, hooked in backwards. Did you fix it or did you take off?
Oh God, no! I paused. Yeah, I aborted that takeoff and redid it. I think that's the only time I got the wing up and with it clipped in backwards. I've noticed every other time that I've done it. But live and learn. I made a lot of mistakes.
Do you have a I guess a checklist that you go off of when you are preparing to fly? Do you have a pre-flight?
I had a printed checklist, but I've got it memorized by now. My pre-flight and everything else, it got ingrained in my head pretty early. So, I've got that. But every once in a while, especially in the earlier flights, I'd grab the toggles and, I'd grab the, what's the word I'm looking for?
The brakes?
No. When I'm clipping in, what do you call the end of all the
Carabiners?
lines? The what?
Risers, carabiners.
Riser.
The risers, and clipping them in backwards. I've done that a few times, but I've noticed it, while doing the roads and streets kind of check and the brake clear to pulley check and stuff like that. I'd noticed when it's backwards, but that one time I did not get it. But the joy of PPG is, most of the things that go wrong before you take off, at least as far as errors like that. And it's, I don't know if I could have gotten off the ground like that. Another time I tried to take off and I had a cravat. It's like there's no way to miss that. If it's a significant cravat, you feel it. You'd have to be pretty unaware to not notice a large cravat, at least based on my very limited experience.
If my video is choppy, I'm sorry. I actually got it plugged into the computer now, so we actually ran a line. So hopefully my computer is going to be great. Kent Stamey in the chat sent us $20, so thank you very much. He said, "Hello, family." You can find him at kentstamey.com. So you got a couple of blunders. You said. Tell us about the trims out, trying to take off with the trims all the way out. Not really a blunder, but you sure got your exercise that day. What happened?
Indeed I did. I suppose it was 5 weeks from training until I received my equipment. There was a bit of a COVID backlog with the paramotor. I had the wing right away, and I did I kited once or twice, and I really should have been doing a lot more kiting during that period, because I found that during that 5-week period, not being a spring chicken, a lot of what I had learned just didn't stick as well as it should have, and I had to kind of remind myself, relearn, reread, and trying to get that muscle memory back. But I hadn't been changing my trims very much in training, and I misread the manual on the Spider 3 that I had purchased, and I thought I had the trims all the way in when I had the trims all the way out. So here I am in reflex mode, attempting to try and take off. So that was a really long run, pulling hard into the brakes to be able to to get off the ground, and then a really, really slow climb out, which wouldn't normally be a problem. I mean, if I was back in Lake Wales, you've got all day before the nearest tree or building comes up on you. But out of the airport that I've been flying at, it's it's got power lines on 3 sides. It's got trees on all 4 sides. So unless you're flying out directly over the runway, you've got tall trees and elevation changes and all that other kind of stuff to go over. And one of the local instructors actually saw me on one of those launches, and he was like, "Man, I didn't know if you were going to make it over those power lines or not." And the video of it, unfortunately, I didn't post it up here in advance, but it was it was actually off to the left of what you're looking at right now. There's power lines that run across that street parallel to the runway, and then there's tall pines right behind that, and I just barely cleared those. it's when you have to lift your feet because you're afraid you're going to hit a power line or a tree. You're
Wow.
way too close.
Absolutely. We got a couple of questions in chat. Brian, did you want to ask the questions in the Zoom?
Yeah, Jim had quite a few questions. One of them was, how long before you think you're going to take your first SIV, or are you even considering one?
I would love to. I'd love to have the experience. My first goal was to kind of just get comfortable again with the basics. I'm not a heavy risk taker. Acro is not on my list of things that I really want to do. I mean, I really respect the guys that do. I really enjoy watching it, but it's just not my thing. At least not at this point. I'm more interested in doing cross countries and things like that. But I am really safety focused. I mean, I've I got my reserve installed before my the first flight on my own. I've flown with flotation, as soon as I got my equipment. I tend to run my strobe even, before it, it starts to get dark.
I run it anytime that I fly. That's a good thing.
And what do you have to lose?
Nothing.
Yeah.
It's like a motorcycle with the headlight on.
Right.
Yeah.
So you trained at Aviator. How many flights did you have, and did you leave with gear, or did you have to wait on it?
I got 26 flights in, which
Sweet.
I think, yeah, it's about, from what I understand for the 2-week program that Aviator does, that's kind of, most people are working their way trying to get to that magic 25 number.
Yeah.
So, I made it there, and if over half the class made it, to that number. Which is really nice because I mean you take your PPG 1 and your PPG 2 test while you're there,
Mm-hmm.
and it all gets submitted, and in a couple weeks, you if you choose to, you can join US PPA and the US UA and get your insurance.
I think my internet's kind of choppy. If someone else wanted to try to share his videos, that'd be fine with me.
So
sorry,
what gear did you end up getting? Did you buy it from Aviator?
Brian, yes, I bought everything from Aviator. I got a chance to fly one of the classes spiders that they had there, so I got to try that out, at least I think for my last 4 or 5 flights or so.
I can try it, Sean.
Okay.
I was comfortable with that wing. It seemed like it had most of the features that I'd want out of a beginner wing, but yet, the more advanced features, as I got a little more proficient over time. So I went ahead with that as opposed to a Mojo. Now, I could have argued I kind of mentally argued back and forth with myself after the fact. It's like, it might be nice in some cases to have for it to be a little less bumpy, as it would be with, the Ozone's A wing, or, to be able to fly potentially midday, since, the thermals aren't going to be as bouncy as they would be with, a more efficient wing. But I've been happy with the purchase I made. The paramotor itself was on back order. I've got Parajet Maverick with an Atom 80. So,
okay.
But I'm pretty lightweight guy. I'm somewhere between 145 and 150. So my climb outs with an Atom 80 are usually pretty good, which is great considering, that my beginning area here is relatively tight depending on the wind direction.
What size spider did you get on, a 22 or 24?
22.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds about right for your size, man.
Yeah.
I started out with the Mojo for a whole year. I trained at Aviator as well, and then I just upgraded to the Spider a few months ago, and I love it, man. I mean, they fly great. But I think most of the students, probably over half of them that get their gear there, probably start out with a Spider versus a Mojo.
Yeah, I mean, I've given it some thought recently, and I'm like, it wouldn't hurt to have a second wing available. And eventually, I'd like to be able to do cross country, so something like a Speedster or something like that, or the equivalent wing from another manufacturer, would be my long-term goal. But I really see an advantage for a lot of people of having, a true A wing that's just nice and slow and comfortable to fly, and you don't feel the bumps and things like that. I mean, they're just days when it'll be more pleasant, I think, to fly with an A wing, even if you've got the experience, to be flying with, something more advanced.
Yeah, I hope to do thermaling one day. So I don't plan on getting rid of my Mojo A-wing,
Awesome.
A lot of the instructors at Aviator, they still keep their old Mojo. And that's what they get it out for. They, Eric come out here at 1 p.m. Who wants to go thermaling? And I'll get the Mojos out and go. And I hope that I can get to that point one day.
You will. It's only a matter of time. Let's see. JP, can you find the motor out one? And while he's doing that, I want to say thank you to John Wayne. Gave us $10 in the super chat. He said he's the number one fan. If that's not true, someone better say something else. Walter in the house. What's up? DP's in the house. Nick Griffiths. Who else? Scrolling up here. Who else is it? Mark H. PPG Trike Jockey. Never Trust Skinny Chef Shane. Yankee Paramotor. JR Paramotor. Kent Stamey. Slow Days is here. And there's a lot of blue wrenches. I'm scrolling up, all this is blue wrenches.
Almost everybody's a moderator.
I know, right?
So one more question that Jim CR120 had in the chat was, now that you fly on your own, what are the main things that you seek to improve?
Everything. I've got a lot to learn, and I realize that. I like to joke that I thought I made every mistake so far, and yet I still find new ones. At least every other flight or so. It's like I didn't know I could do that wrong, and sure enough, I did. Thankfully, like I said, most things, at least everything I've run into so far, I haven't had any injuries. Worst case was a little bit of a bruise here or there, or something like that, or maybe a little bit of a bruised ego. But yeah, it's I've landed. I tripped once and landed on my front knees on takeoff. But wing overflew me. Everything was fine. Didn't clip me. Didn't hurt. The paramotor or the prop or anything like that. Haven't knock on wood. Haven't done any real damage to equipment, with one exception where I chopped a wing. So I've been a combination, I think, of both lucky and benefiting from the effort that folks put into the design of our wings and to the paramotor. So I'm sure the advancements technologically in this sport over the last 20 years have got to be really significant.
Absolutely.
But to answer the question, as far as things I really want to work on in the short term, I still need to work on my landings. Too many of my landings end up with landing gear malfunctions, coming from here where I'm not running when I hit the ground, and so I'll go down to a knee. Occasionally the ground rush as I'm looking down throws me off. And I'm not really going that fast, and I could easily run it out, and that kind of throws me off a bit. I need to spend a lot more time with ground handling. That's clear to me. Will Fly and I were together with a few other guys this weekend, and although most of my launches I'll get on the first go, at least in an environment that I'm familiar with and comfortable with, if I'm thrown a little bit off, I find that the mental game affects me some, and I'll lose even a bit of my basic kiting skills, and I really need to get to the point that it's just all motor memory. As far as my launches go. I also need to spend a lot of time working on reverse launches. I haven't done reverse launches since I was being trained in Lake Wales, and I really want to get that down for the higher wind days. Interestingly, though, I mean, I live in the Central Carolinas, so most of our days are pretty dead on the ground, at least.
I'd
Yeah,
rather reverse launch than forward any day. It's a great skill to have, and you don't have to run, and it just feels cooler because you just take a couple steps and you're in the air.
yeah.
Certainly looks better.
Yeah, it looks cooler too. Yeah.
And you can check all your lines, make sure that you're clipped in right before you even put on
Yep.
power. JP, did you find the?
This is it.
This is the
the
crash
video.
The motor out.
Yeah.
All right, so this is the motor out video.
You want to
Go
talk
ahead and
us through it?
Yeah.
Dave,
So what's going
tell
on
us what's
here?
going on.
I did not have any prior experience with two-stroke motors, so I didn't realize how finicky the load jet needs to be set, and how basically when I received my equipment, it was running way too rich, and even in 30-degree temperatures, it was choking out, just flooding, and I adjusted it too much in the opposite direction. I did a lot of testing at different RPMs, trying to make sure that everything was going to be copacetic, but at the high end for just the low jet, so somewhere in the 4,000 RPMs, it it would eventually just run out of fuel, running too lean, and that's what I believe happened that day. I just had it set.
JP.
I was just coming in. I was over my LZ, and the power just the engine conked. I In retrospect, if I were more experienced, I had plenty of altitude to reach up and restart the engine. But I just thought, okay, well, I'm over my LZ. I'll just come in. But I came in a little bit long. I did some S turns on the way in, some light S turns. Should have done a little more of that. And I ended up coming in along, and what I'm heading towards right before this, if you go back about 30 seconds, yeah, there we go. So I'm coming in, skip a little bit further ahead than there, closer to the end. Okay.
If you're listening to us right now, what we're doing is we're searching for
Pause it right
something.
there.
You can always find us at clearproptv.com to actually watch this.
So I'm coming in along. You can see that's the end of the runway there. There's a road there. There's power lines directly beyond it. I know I'm either going to go into the road or the power lines at this point. So even though I'm landing in the wind, into the what little wind there is, I decide to go to make a turn crosswind, just so that I'm not faced with the the unpleasant scenario of being caught on a power line. And then I just kind of came in a little bit too hard and took it on both knees. But thankfully, I'm more or less made out of rubber, and I just kind of bounce.
It didn't look terrible. I mean,
No,
for you didn't have much altitude to work with, dude. So you didn't freak out, which is great. And you had power lines right in your face, tree to the right, power lines to the left.
That'd be a challenge in LZ for a newbie,
Yeah.
for sure. I think.
Absolutely.
I mean,
in training, I mean, Brian, you've heard this as well. It's and I probably all of us have, it seems to be mostly just a mental game. And, at least for me, my anxiety occurs mostly on the ground before I'm up. So I make most of my mistakes there. Once I'm up in the air, even if I'm in, surprisingly bad air, which has happened to me a couple times, that doesn't bother me so much. And, coming in for a landing doesn't make me anxious so much, even though I've landed on knees several times, due to ground rush or whatever. I've managed to keep my head through those. Heck, even one time I was on new equipment that hadn't been tried before, and it was actually the hang points were reversed for an Atom 80, and I was getting a bit of torque twist. And I was offsetting it. This was probably flight 7. And I was offsetting it by leaning really hard, and unfortunately my comms had gone out at the same time. So I've got Mike Brown on the ground yelling into the 2-meter radio to come back down on the throttle. and I didn't hear him because my my connection had come partially out, and I'm just kind of up there. I'm like, well, why is it pulling so hard to the left? And so I'm leaning hard to the right, trying not to go over the pot field, which they don't like you flying over in Lake Wales. And
Don't
then
know
all of a
why.
sudden, I Mike had told me right before that flight, he's like, I'm not going to say anything if everything's going okay. So I'm like, oh, it's been a while. He hasn't said anything yet. And then all of a sudden, the mic connection gets back in there, and all of a sudden I've got Mike yelling at me, to throttle back, over and over again, thinking that, I was just frozen or something up there. And when in fact I couldn't just hear him. And I'm like, okay, oh, you don't have to yell. And then we got back down on the ground and saw, it just hadn't been put together properly. And thank goodness I wasn't, didn't end up with a riser twist.
All right. Any more questions in the chat, Brian?
I think we covered most of them. Jim had quite a few of them. He asked one, I don't think we asked this one, how many flights is, how have flights been going since then? And what gets in the way of flying since training? You said you're up to 53 flights now, you said?
Yes, sir. The only thing that really, my biggest obstacle, I think at this point, well, other than scheduling and stuff like that, it's, there have been weeks that, there's only one good flying opportunity, and, my wife has to work late that day or something like that. And so, that's been a minor challenge. But I mean, most of my challenges once I'm at my LZ are mostly in my head.
So I think I had about 60 flights when I had my accident, and I was up there probably about 4 months. And I felt like I knew it all. I mean, I felt like I was a great pilot at that point. And I know now I've got 115 flights, and I know that I was nowhere near experienced enough to be doing what I was doing. I still am not. And I've been humbled for sure.
Yeah, that's something that everybody goes through. And I think a lot of people are still stuck in that phase where they think they're great pilots. I felt like that for a while, and now I'm back. I still try to keep it in my head that I'm still a newbie, like not until I get 10,000 hours. That's what they say. You need 10,000 hours to be an expert at anything. So if you approach life with that, sort of expectation, I feel like you're better. The outcome's going to be better than if you head into it acting like you know it all and there's nothing you can learn from any situation. So
we never quit learning.
I've been kind of the opposite, I think. I've been recording my videos from my flights from the ground. I don't always catch the landings if I'm going long, but especially in the early ones. But I'll look at everything after the flight the next day, and it's like, okay, well, what went wrong? I tend to be a little, at least from my perspective, I think I tend to be on the overly critical side, and there'll be times when I'll sit there and I'll say that launch just didn't go well. I didn't have enough feel for the wing on the launch. I think I was chasing it around a little bit too much. I had an oscillation, that I should have been able to correct earlier or something like that. And I'll look at the video after and I'm like, well, maybe it's not that bad. But I'm at this point, I think I'd be lucky if I called myself an average pilot for someone, in their early 50 flights. So I might be below average, and I'm okay with that. Because as far as I'm concerned, nothing's going to keep me out of the sky. So I'm going to keep at it until I get it.
Oh yeah, don't worry about being average, man. There's always somebody better than us, for sure. Todd Scandrick wants to know how you're liking your new buff.
My new buff.
Buff.
I guess it's like a neck gator buff.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry. I had the pleasure of meeting Todd for the first time this weekend. It was only briefly, but I wanted to meet him for a while. Sorry, it's still in the passenger seat in my car. I haven't pulled it out, sir.
Oh, you're in trouble.
Well, I have, and I loved it. So thank you, Todd. It was real nice seeing him this weekend.
It was.
What was this weekend?
Oh, you didn't hear about the big flying man?
What?
Yeah, tell us about it.
I'll let the guest describe the flying. We had a great time. I can tell
Yeah,
you that.
yeah, I had a blast. In the LZ that I've been flying from, although it's considered one of the places that you send people in the Central Carolinas to go and practice, because the owner is really PPG friendly. He's friendly with with all small aircraft, and they keep the feel that we fly from nicely mowed and stuff like that. So it's been really nice, but it's been kind of lonely. I mean, most of my available days are during the weekdays and things like that. They do run they run a small skydiving operation out of there, which runs, on the weekends primarily. So I'll tend to avoid that airport on the weekend days, and fly out of a nearby airport called Shelby instead. But there really isn't a whole lot of PPG guys, at least during the weekdays, that I run into. There's a guy named Don who does some training out of there, but they're mostly, a lot of them are introductory courses and stuff like that. People aren't in the sky, or they're not in the sky for very long. So it's been really quiet, and I've been doing things on my own, which I think affects my uh, willingness to do new things, or until I'm sure that I've got it down. I don't want to end up in a field a couple miles away from my LZ, and be trying to call an Uber in the middle of nowhere, North Carolina, trying to get me and my gear back. But one of the there's a few guys that I have run into out there. One of them, his name is Ben Lorenzi, and he's got a nice piece of property um, in just east of Charlotte. And so he had a little mini meetup where he invited all the local pilots if they were interested in coming out. And so Will and I both did. Um, and I guess there were there were probably like 6 or 7 of us that were flying
Mhm.
this weekend. Uh, Todd Falstead, Yankee Paramotor, was out there. Like I said, Don Ober from
Don.
Mojo's Flight School. Um, uh, Ben and a few other guys were out there, and it was we had a really good time. I had a really tough weekend with my launches that weekend, and uh, which was a bit of a kicker, but we had a really good time. Had dinner together. Ben's got a really nice place, and we all just kind of hung out for a while and had a blast.
Yeah, we really did. And hey, it was it wasn't just you, man. I had some some failed launches myself. So hey, I mean, just sometimes it's your turn, and hey,
Yeah,
it was our turn.
absolutely. And
I guess.
I appreciate the support that I got from you and from Todd and from Ben. Because it's tough on the ego when you have a long series of failed launches. On the first day, I was determined to get up that day. I hadn't flown in over a week, and I was like, I've got to fly. And this, as nice as this property is that Ben has, it's basically a rectangle surrounded by tall trees on all sides, and it's on a hill. And it was just our luck that on both of the days that we were there, the predominant wind was, if there was any, it was either completely dead, or it was blowing in from the wrong direction, so that you had to run up a reasonably steep hill through grass. I don't want to exaggerate, Will, so correct me if I'm wrong, somewhere between 6 and 8 inches tall.
Sounds about.
And I just didn't have the energy to do it.
Man, you were tenacious though. I mean, how many attempts did you do that one
that
one
that
set?
that day I blew 7 launches in a row. And my rule's been that, if I get to 3 failed launches, then I pack it in for the day, because my head's not in the game. But that day I was stubborn, I was tired, which wasn't helping.
Really good.
I'd gone running before I went out to bend. So, I was a little bit tired. And then I was surprised of having to run uphill, which I've never really had to do. I've run up small inclines and things like that in the fields, but never actually up a hill. And I was a little anxious about the environment with the tall trees and things like that around as well. So I wasn't on the power quick enough to have it do the work for me. So I'm trying to haul my wing up. So that it was challenging, and I kept at it probably a lot longer after I'd quit. And I got a 5-minute flight right at sunset there that first day. But as uh, much as I beat myself up over my failed launches, at 3 or 4 o'clock that, the next morning when I woke up thinking about it, that 5 minutes in the air still did me a lot of good. And I'm glad I kept with it until I got that 5 minutes.
Man, you were drenched with sweat. I mean, that's
Oh
an
my God.
understatement. You were not going to give up. And I bet you didn't have any trouble sleeping that night either.
Oh, I certainly fell asleep right away, Will. Yeah, it was that I had a jacket on because it started out being kind of chilly there in the evening, and I think I just soaked down a jacket with sweat. It was it was a rough day. But once
Hey,
again,
we get-
I really appreciate and we've seen this come up in uh, you know the Paramotor Facebook site and stuff like that. It's really nice when the experienced guys are supportive, like you and Todd and Ben were, of the more junior guys like myself, especially when we're having a bad day. So it's really appreciated, sir.
Glad to do it. But again, it was me who needed the help. Remember that.
So are you going to take some time to walk us through
You know,
your
I
adventure?
would, but I decided I'm going to put a video out
Okay.
on that. And
Oh, sweet.
yeah, so maybe about a week.
So if you want to see where our guest is and look at his YouTube, make sure you go to paramotorguest.com. Will Fly said he's going to post something, so make sure you go to willflyppg.com. We appreciate everyone that has been saying stuff in the chat. The chat just keeps on going. Don't forget to say hello to JP Tulo, because he's going to put your name in the spinning wheel of winning things. So we're going to be spinning here in about 20 minutes. This is episode 68 of PPG Grandpa's Paramotor Podcast, also known as clearproptv.com. And what's that last one? Paratalk.org. I was hoping for someone to say paratalk.org. We know what this is. We're listening. Our guest today is David. Is it Kumpula?
You can pronounce it any way you want, Sean. My family pronounces it Kumpula.
Kumpula.
Kumpula,
Okay. I don't know how I said it earlier, so I apologize. So you've been flying for about
Oompa Loompa.
What's
Yeah, that'll work. That'll work.
Kalumpa Oompa Loompa? No.
Koompa Loompa.
Kumpala. Yeah.
So in your 53 flights, you've had trims out trying to take off, no brakes in your hand. One time you butt landed, you knee landed, you chopped a wing, lines and prop, and all sorts of other fun stuff. So let's go ahead and go back to the no brakes thing. How did that happen, and what happened?
God, sometimes my brain just doesn't function properly. And it probably happens a lot more often than I'm willing to admit. But one time I got all set up and ended up with my A's in my hand, and I got my throttle and I thought I had everything there, and for some reason I just hadn't grabbed my brakes, which means I didn't check everything to make sure everything was straight. And obviously didn't check to make sure if my brakes were clear to pulley and things like that. So I missed several steps that day. So, my head was not in the game, to be sure. And, I launched, I pulled the A's up, released, it was overhead, and I went to go correct. And I'm like, holy mackerel, I don't have my toggles in my hand. And I see them there and I'm like, okay, I jumped out, grabbed them as quickly as I could and tried to correct where the wing was. But, by that point, it was probably beyond salvageable, and it had thrown me off, of course, mentally as well. So I bailed on that launch, and killed the engine. But I paused it for probably a second longer than I should have before I killed the engine, and I stopped running because I was aborting the launch. and got Christmas wrap by my wing, which went into my prop, and I heard that thump thump noise that we all just hate. And I'm like, shoot. So now I've got a chopped wing. So I brought it home, took a look at it, and patched it up. Thankfully, I had enough of the sticky fabric material to take care of the fix. But now I am in my early 50 flights, and I still have that badge of shame that I will carry with me for years to come.
I can't. You know what? Let's find out for sure. Anybody here in the panel, have you ever launched or tried to do a forward and you forgot to pick up your brakes? I did that once a long time ago. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Hey, five in the panel has done it. Anybody that's listening to us, let us know in the chat. Have you ever tried to do a forward launch and totally forgot to put your brakes in your hands? It happens. All right. For your next thing, you chopped a wing. Who here has chopped a wing, burnt a wing, hurt your wing in any way? I burnt my wing. Anybody else?
Lines.
JP, me?
Lines. Yeah. You counting lines?
Sure,
Yeah.
lines or anything. Have you
Yep.
broken anything somehow?
I
Lines.
took mine
chopped.
swimming.
What's that?
Took mine swimming, but it didn't hurt it.
Well,
That wasn't really your.
yeah. So, how about in the chat? Has anybody chopped a line, broke something, maybe cut your wing or burnt your wing? What I did is I was coming in for landing. I usually let it fall behind me, and then I'll go again and kind of do it like a touch and go. Well, this time wind came up from behind, pushed it into my exhaust, and burnt a hole about this big into my wing. So
Yeah, I
I
remember
don't
that.
do that anymore. Ken Stamey said broken prop. So, oh yeah, broken props. Have we ever broken a prop here? Anybody break a prop?
I raised one hand for each prop or what?
Do you need feet too?
No, just two. Just I'm going to knock on wood now. Just two.
Now, did you break it or just chip it? I mean, did it just need some little glue, or did you actually break it, Brian?
Oh, straight up broke, man. The bale of hay.
Did you see his
3 inches
leg?
off? 3 inches off each half of the prop, and then on the failed launch I had, where I got pushed down to my knees. It's like launch number 90 something for me, And all of a sudden one day I decided I didn't want to lean back. I leaned forward and gave it gas. I destroyed half that prop. I think I delaminated the prop about 8 inches of the tip, just broken into 2 pieces.
I've had things go through my prop, like my engine exhaust when it broke. I think I had a spring or something that went through, and I found out never foot drag gravel. Hey, now you know. And I had something go through there, but never broke a prop, but I chipped a bunch. Nick Griffiths said 0 damage. Slow Day says broke 2 props. Broke one last night, said John Wayne. Number 2. Oh no. So many issues. Sent a piece of prop through it, says Mark McElroy. Did I miss anything else up there? Probably not. All right. So, any questions from anybody on the panel?
I do have a question, and for our guests, of course. But how often, like on average, would you say, like, because it looked like you were flying in the winter in your videos there, but during the winter months, how many on average flights would you get in a month?
As long as I think I probably averaged a couple flights a week, even in the dead of winter. We had one period where there was, I don't know, 9 really bad wind days in a row or something like that as one of the fronts was going through. Other times I've been challenged by, there was a 3-week period where I couldn't fly at all. We went on a little vacation for a week, and then I came back, and the wife was doing a lot of work travel and things like that. So I was hanging out with my 8-year-old daughter. I was kind of grounded for that period as well. So there was a 3-week period there where I couldn't fly at all. But as far as, there's probably about 2 to 3 good evenings on average, even in winter here. And I'm hoping things, especially as it gets warmer here in the Carolinas, mornings become an option as long as I'm willing to get my lazy butt up and out early enough to get, that nice early morning weather.
Mhm.
But yeah, so yeah, the cold didn't really stop me. There was, when it was down in the 20s, that turned me off to flying, even if it was a good wind day. But if it's 40 degrees and above on the ground, I even went out when it was 32 one morning, uh, which is as cold as I've been out. 4 layers of jackets and shirts and everything, and heated glove liners. That seems to do the job. It's I've got heavy hiking shoes on, and so feet are never cold. You get the helmet on, so your head's nice and warm. You put the goggles on, so you're not crying through your flight in the cold weather. And so I think the Carolinas, if this is a representative year, they're going to be very flyable in years to come. So I think I'm very lucky to be in a decent location, and
Any
we're
other-
There's a
used to the
couple
same
more
weather in Raleigh, of
questions
course.
that were in the chat that we never got to.
Okay.
Mark H asked earlier, David said he got his PP2 to get insurance through USPPA. I thought you said USUA.
Okay, so your rating, as I understand it, someone correct me if I'm saying this incorrectly. USPPA is the one that gives the ratings. USUA used to give ratings as well. They don't anymore. But so your PPG 1, PPG 2, PPG 3, and trainer ratings, they come from USPPA. But USPPA doesn't have an insurance provider agreement anymore. I think they did at one point long before I was looking into the sport. So but to get the insurance through USUA, of course, you have to be a member of USUA as well, but
Mhm.
they require that you have a PPG 2 rating from from the other organization. So you
Right.
technically need to belong to both to update your insurance, to get insurance, and then to keep it up to date annually.
Got you. So were you actually able to obtain liability insurance for your rig then?
I was. I had
Okay.
that. I went out of my way to get that early on. My intention, not only for a little bit of peace of mind. I suppose I'm not, practically speaking, I'm not terribly worried about causing damage, by falling out of the sky and onto some grass field or into a tree or something like that. I suppose the bigger risks are, if I startled a horse or something like that and it bolted and broke its leg or something like that. I suppose that would probably be a more significant cost. But what I really wanted to do was, to begin to establish a series of places, privately owned locations to fly from. And I'm one of those guys that tends to ask for permission and ask for forgiveness. And so I've been asking private landowners and parks and rec directors and things like that for explicit permission to fly from their location. And one of the things I provide is, here is my insurance policy for $1 million or whatever it is, just in case something goes awry. Along with here's my PPG 2 rating, which of course doesn't mean very much other than I'm barely able to get myself into the sky most days, and some days not. But it looks like something, I think, to the outside person.
Oh yeah, it's smart to have, and it's good for you getting it. A lot of people have a challenge getting it, and like you said, you have to have your rating from USPPA, and then you get the insurance to USUA.
Has to be
Ultralight
signed off.
Association.
It also has to be signed off by someone that's a certified trainer as well.
Okay.
So AJ Goyne at Aviator was the one that signed us all off after we passed our exams
Yep.
and got our flights. So I mean, yeah, it's definitely a process to get that, and it's probably a lot easier for most people. And um, my wife has berated me about it too. She's like, "Stop asking permission. Just find a place that's quiet and go."
Real quick in the chat, if you guys have PPG insurance or some sort of flying insurance, let us know in the chat where you got it, what's the insurance company, and is it for PPG and PG? I like to know as much information as possible. Also, if you know any more information, send it to me at ppggrandpa@gmail.com. We are coming up at about 5 till 8. If you haven't said hello in the chat, please say hello in the chat. Mark George just said hello in the chat. Hello to all my parapete. Great guest, great information, and donated $20 in the super chat. Thank you very much, Mark George. Appreciate you. But make sure you say hi to JP so we can put you in the spinning wheel of winning things. Any other questions?
Yep, there's one from Todd Scandrett, Resurgence PPG here. He says, ask him if he's flown out of the Walmart in Denver and tell him to get in touch with me during the week.
The Walmart in Denver?
Did you fly out of there?
No, I've the location that Will and I were at this weekend. That was the 4th location that I've flown from. So Lake Wales during training, this little airport that you've seen a lot of videos of, which is called Laney's Airport, located in Maiden, North Carolina, and a location that's more west of Charlotte called Shelby Airport, which also has a very friendly airport director. It's a lot busier a municipal airport, so you need to be more cognizant of the traffic and be comfortable with your comms and things like that, and flying below the pattern and making your announcements as you're coming back in and so forth. So those were the only 3 locations I'd flown from before flying out of Ben's location this weekend. So yeah, those I think getting more new locations under my belt. I don't know if a Walmart in Denver is a high priority of mine, but I assume being the Mile High City, I would be doing a whole lot of running to get off the ground.
You got the Adam 80, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I think that's why I got the Moster, just so I could take off in a state like Colorado.
There you
Ask
go.
Ask Will about going a Mile High next time you get to fly.
Yeah, right. And we had this discussion at our last get together about possibly switching to the Moster. So I'm that much closer, man.
I hear you, man.
Much closer to the Moster. Sounds good. Josh Perry just said that the USPPA used to offer, but no longer. The other insurance company don't touch us since we don't have an N number. So
yeah, I think that's why that question came up, because I think people have been struggling getting their insurance, actually getting their liability insurance. I think it's like you said, you have to get somebody to underwrite you or sign off on it.
Brian, I didn't have any problem whatsoever. Once I spoke to I can't remember her name at USPPA and talked to her briefly about it, and then the young lady at the US UA who then put me in touch with the insurance provider, which they have a whole policy focused on light aviation and ultralights. So they were both all over it for me as soon as I made the request through USUA. The whole process was completed in a few days, and I actually had the policy in my hand in about a week. So it went very smooth. They were extremely supportive, and they had their act together. So it was a very positive experience. And for the price, roughly of what a new prop would cost, I've got this insurance policy for 12 months that, hopefully will convince, more people to allow me to fly from their property.
And you said it was $1 million policy?
Yeah, I think it covers, I think the liability insurance covers $1 million per incident.
Hey, we got to revisit the Walmart in Denver question. It's Denver, North Carolina, not Denver, Colorado.
No, I've never heard of. No, I am not familiar with a city named Denver in North Carolina.
Okay.
But
apparently they got a Walmart.
Apparently they got a Walmart. And apparently it's a good place to fly from. So I definitely need to take up Todd on his suggestion.
Well, this is my last week of working for the man, and Friday at 4 p.m. is the last time. And then from then on, I'm just working paramotor stuff. So I might be able to go out and do more fly-ins, uh, go to different states, meet up with people. So I might be able to go to North Carolina, see you, and find this Walmart to fly out of. That sounds pretty interesting. We also had Sharky in the Sky ask you, the guest, David, talk about flying under the pattern. Is that something that you know about?
Yeah. So if you pull up the video of shoot, where is it? Which one is it? In Shelby.
Resurgence
See, that would
PPG
be.
just said that the insurance is First Flight Insurance Group.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I'll give them a
Flight
call.
46. If you pull up, I think it's Flight 46. Might be.
And Denver is just northwest of Charlotte. It looks like. So near Mooresville, west of Concord.
Yeah, I'm just south of Charlotte myself.
North Carolina is my old stomping grounds. I got out of the Marine Corps over in Camp Lejeune, stayed over there in Swansboro and Hubert area, then moved to Fayetteville. Was there for a long while. Was a computer engineer at one of the colleges. So yeah, I'd like to be able to swing by and say hi to everyone and meet everybody that's in North Carolina. I think it'd be really swell.
Yeah,
Yes,
man.
I said swell. David, you're up to 255 subscribers. You can find him
Sweet.
over at paramotorguest.com for the rest of this week. And make sure you subscribe to his channel and hit that bell notification. Has anybody found that video, or do you want me to?
I did. If you pull up Paramotor Flight 46 on my channel and go to, I think it's about a minute and 32 seconds in. That's a flight out of Shelby. So basically, I'm working my way south, which, based on the winds that day, the pattern was also to the south. What the airport director there requested us to do was, announce if you're going to go across the runway, only go across the middle. All rules that you become fairly familiar with if you're flying out of municipal airports and things like that, especially if there's traffic. Where to cross, when to cross, altitudes to cross, things like that. In this case, I was flying under the pattern.
I'm sorry, somebody's gonna have to do this. My son's streaming. I'm streaming. So
I'm watching your YouTube.
yeah, you're watching YouTube. That's kind of streaming this way instead of going up. So we got lots, and I think the wife is watching Netflix, of course. Can someone else pull that up? Maybe jptutolo.com. You can also find him at ppgjp.com.
Gotcha. Which
Number
46?
Yes,
46.
sir.
And you'd think that I'd have better internet. I got the pro package over here. Maybe I need to rewire everything.
We're all doing video streams these days, especially in the era of COVID. It's like, you've got, potentially, two adults and, at least in our
I'm minute
household,
32, JP.
got two adults streaming up or down or both on video calls. My daughter has been doing school virtually. So, she's got her stream going all the time. You need better internet these days, don't you?
I'm paying the pro, which is like $100 a month. And it's like, it's supposed to be amazing. Oh crap, he's here. Is that airplane flying right above you?
Yeah. Now I've run into traffic at the airport I frequent. But those pilots, most of them are kind of old salts, and they're quite they're not trained. They're either training someone, and they're very cognizant of the area. I always make my calls before I take off, so at least if I don't jump on my call, if I don't jump on my AV radio, while I'm in the air, at least they knew I was there and took off from there if they've been in the area. Most of the guys that fly over that airport are flying from that airport and are familiar, with the PPG traffic, which is great. I've had several, you know, especially the owner and his stepson. You know, I've had them flying a pattern around me at my altitude, but you know, they expect us. They know what we're doing. We keep clear of them. They make all their calls. I avoid them, you know, as I should, as an ultralight pilot. But this airport's busier. It's got a lot more people, you know, trained younger pilots, younger guys, with sportier equipment sometimes than what we get at, you know, at the other airport. And you know, one of the things, you know, I guess they fly their patterns typically at 1,000 feet. So, you know, I stay below it when I'm in that area.
Okay, we are 5 minutes after 8, and we try to spin at 8 o'clock. JP, if you're able to spin the wheel, looks like Darren joined us, unless he's been here, and Randy.
I have one more question for our guest, David. Have you, I heard you talking at the very beginning where you're having issues with landing, knee landings, butt landings, and all this. Obviously, a lot of that to me comes down to flare. It was literally flight number 100 for me, man, before my buddy Brook Sheffield told me, Brian, you're still looking at the ground. You know, quit looking at the ground. You got to look at the horizon above you. And I finally did it, man. I looked at the horizon. I put a leg down, and I didn't look down at the ground. I had my best landing ever. Have you kind of got a, you know, I'm still working on it, but have you kind of got a feel for the flare, or you think you're not comfortable with it yet?
Brian, I think that's great advice. I find myself able to look at the horizon when I'm coming in on a smooth level surface, and I'm not too concerned about, you know, how far I go and things like that. And you know, I completely agree with you. I think it's a really important thing to do so that you don't look down and get that ground rush. As far as I can tell from the videos that I'm getting, I mounted a GoPro on my cage, which allows me to see my hands, you know, where they are as I'm coming down. And I also have a tablet on the ground that I'm recording. And, you know, sometimes I go long and it doesn't catch the landing, unfortunately. But when it does, you know, I'm flaring at the right time. I think I'm a bit psyched out by the ground rush when I'm looking down. So that's, you know, that's looking at the horizon would certainly, focusing on that would certainly help. Other times, I've noticed on a couple knee landings, my feet weren't wide enough apart. I've also noticed that I'm not leaning forward enough, and I've seen several people say, "Listen, you know, if your chest isn't way out there, you know, it makes it a lot harder. You know, you'll end up kind of either, you know, falling back or going to a knee, as opposed to, you know, hitting the ground running, which apparently if you lean forward enough and get, you know, get in that right position, your brain tells you to run when you hit the ground easier than if you're leaning back. So those are all things that I need to work on. It was something that I struggled with late when I was on my own during the last part of my training. I took a knee several times, and I'm hopeful that you know, I'll get over that on a regular basis pretty soon.
Got a lot of names on the wheel tonight.
We definitely
Yeah.
do. How many names can you tell?
39.
39.
Mm-hmm.
How many people are watching the show right now?
40.
All right.
Woo! Thank you, chatters. I got to do a shout out to my chatters. Thank you.
Absolutely. So right before we spin the wheel, we want to say thank you for watching the show. After the spin, we're going to open up the show so you can come in and chat with us about paramotors. If you have Zoom, we'll give you the ID and passcode in just a minute.
Oh.
Does anybody want to say anything before we spin the wheel? Oh, we're spinning the wheel. So
Nope.
Oh.
I stopped it.
Oh,
So look at
Accident.
the picture in the middle of the wheel. They're doing the infinite tumble. Is that you?
Anyone
Your
else?
picture in the middle of the wheel, like a wing walker?
No, that I found that picture on Google.
Oh, okay.
That's what it is, though. It's a wing walker.
All right, we are going to.
Yeah, so go ahead and spin. We got some more questions here. So David, when you launched without your brakes, did you have gloves in your hand? Is that, or you just forgot?
I think I was wearing gloves. I like wearing gloves myself. I figured, at some point I'm going to have to grab lines, if I catch a gust on the ground after landing or something like that. And, even if they're just, really thin gloves, less likely to get that inevitable burn, grabbing for lines or something. That hasn't happened to me. I'm not flying in gusty. I've only flown in weather that I shouldn't have flown in twice at this point. But yes, I believe I was wearing gloves and have on almost every flight. As soon as you start doing it, as long as the gloves are thin enough, I can feel my A's just fine on launching and stuff like that. And it's a lot. It's no one wants cold fingers while they're flying.
I love flying with gloves. I really do. Heated gloves, because once you get up to 3,000 feet, it's cold.
Yep.
Mark McElroy, John Wayne.
Will be John.
John
Bobby
Wayne.
John.
So close, so close.
That actually is that's a bonus spot. That's a bonus entry that I put in for John Wayne because he donated to the show. So
Oh,
Yay.
that's awesome. Thank you very much, John Wayne. John Wayne,
Nice.
make sure you run over to clearproptv.com, which forwards over to ppgzone.com/clearproptv. Fill out the form. Let us know that you won this amazing phone holder from paramotornc.com. He's our very own Ben. I don't know if Ben is in the chat right now, but we appreciate you.
someone else mentioned where was that to me? Who was it? So let's scroll up real quick. There we go. Not fine for me.
John Wayne's in the
Somebody
chat says,
mentioned, yeah, that they got it. They had their phone on their phone holder that they won from Ben last week. So that was awesome. Mark McElroy.
Good deal.
And there's a couple of people that okay, this is my fault. Okay, I've been so busy with work, working way too many jobs, way too much throughout the day, and I forgot to send over to Ben the people that won their names and their address. So if you haven't got it, it's totally my fault. It's not Ben's fault. It's my fault, and I totally apologize. On the same note, let me show you real quick. We got some things finally. Let me choose virtual background off. So we got a couple of cool things here that we finally got in. This is our flag, our custom flag. We got a lot of people from episode 56 on that won flags. So this is one of the flags. And we also have the other flags that fit in your window, or the top flag like this. This weekend is up in the air from Clearprop TV. And we got a ton of shirts too that we are going to be giving away in the future. Nice.
Yeah.
So all your donations have really helped, and Will Fly gave us $5 for Resurgence. Thank you very much. Will Fly, that's actually here. So you can wave and say hi. Thank you very much. We appreciate you. WillFlyPPG.com, guys. We also had ParisWagUSA.com donate today. And we had John Wayne, thank you. Kent Stamey. Did I miss anybody? I think that's all we had. If we had more, I apologize. Make sure you go over to clearproptv.com. That forwards over to ppgzone.com/clearproptv. Make sure that you put your name and information in the chat that you donated, because we're going to be able to give away some cool things here in the future. JP Tulo, are you out of here? What's up? Oh, screenshot.
Screenshot time.
Oh, screenshot.
Oh, hang on. Let's go this up.
Cheeseburgers and stuff. Hurry up. This is I'm holding a cheese.
Did you do it?
Did you do it? Hurry.
Perfect.
That was funny.
Oh,
I'm
my
frozen. I'm frozen.
Hey, David, we got another question for you from Mark H.
Yes, sir.
Let's see. With all of your tribulations, how's the spousal support about, how does she feel about PPG?
That's a great question. Well, in my case, I have a very supportive wife who actually paid for, as a birthday gift for me to go to training. So the initial support, totally there. Couldn't be that, as a matter of fact, it's one of those things, I'll make jokes about it. It's like, what kind of spouse pays for their spouse to go off to an activity, which, for those that aren't educated, looks like you might drop out of the sky at any moment and hit the ground really hard. Uh,
Right.
so, there are a lot of jokes about, it's like, do you really want me around, or do you just, want me out of the picture? No, no, she was extremely supportive, early on. I don't think that she expected that I was going to fall in love with it as much as I did, and that would mean evenings apart, from the family, and depending on the time of year, and especially if I'm traveling an hour, to each direction to fly, that has dug in during the fall here into our family dinners and things like that, which we hold pretty sacred in my household. So yeah, that's been a downside of it, but especially considering that my wife does travel for work as well, so we're not getting anywhere near the amount of time that we'd like together. I'm actually looking forward to the longer days during summer, so that it can be a post dinner activity, especially now that I've started to secure landing zones closer to home. So hopefully there'll be more time in the air and less time in the car, if you know what I mean.
Now, does she have any interest in flying?
None whatsoever. Her excuse, well, as much as I tell her how awesome it is, I don't think that it really, it just doesn't resonate with her. She, it's not fear, or, she's a really tough girl. And, she'll do anything that she puts her mind to. We do have a child though, and we don't want to, even though this sport is, generally safe, as sports go, and B, even safer as, when you're on the cautious side like I am, that's exposure that she doesn't want. And of course, if she started flying, someone's still got to be with, our daughter. So it would mean half the number of flights and so forth. So I don't see her picking it up anytime soon. As a matter of fact, I've only had her and my daughter out once to watch, and that was, I think, the second time I went out after coming back from training. And at that point, I was, as I said, relearning a lot of what I had learned in class, because I went 5 weeks without equipment, and being a 52-year-old, a lot of what I learned in that short period of time, started to fade. It just, it didn't get into long-term muscle memory, and I had to relearn some of that stuff. So I spent a whole lot of time on the ground making sure everything was perfect before I took off. So, my wife described the one time she came out to the field with me as, boredom, 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 terrifying, boredom, 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 and then, terrifying again when I'm coming in for a landing. I've got my daughter on the 2-meter radio during this time saying, "Dad, I think you're going to fall out of the sky and die." I'm radioing back. I'm like, "That's not really helpful, honey."
Yeah, couldn't you wait until I landed to tell me that?
Thankfully, I don't get nervous in the sky, and other than the ground rush, in my landing gear malfunctions, yeah, I'm not having a problem landing either. But yeah, I told her it wasn't very helpful.
So when you're, what happens when your 8-year-old comes to you and says, "Hey, Dad, I would like to learn how to fly"? Maybe not today, but maybe in a few years.
Actually, she has been saying this since I started watching PPG videos early on. She thinks it's the coolest thing.
Well, it is.
It is. You can't deny it. But you like driving, you need to have some degree of fear of your own life, that you're not invincible. And you think about being a 15-year-old with a learner's permit. I know I was a nightmare on the roads until probably my mid 20s. Just thinking you're invincible. And I spoke with my trainers at Aviator when I was there. I'm like, I do have an 8-year-old, that would like to get into this someday. I know it's way too early now. And I asked their opinion. And I think the general consensus was, at the absolute earliest, you need to be at least 15 before you start to get that appropriate level of respect for, controlling your own environment to keep it safe for yourself. So, we discuss it over the dinner table several times, and, wife is generally against it. And I'm generally pro, but probably like 16 years old or older.
Get them a tandem ride next time you go to a fly-in. Get somebody that's certified and knows what they're doing. I bet if you put your wife up in a tandem, that she'll fall in love with it just like you have.
Yeah, I mean, a trike in the front seat. I've never seen someone take off with a tandem with just the foot launch environment. But even in a trike, I think it's enough to give people that experience, especially if you hand them the toggles for a second and let them make a turn or something like that.
Didn't you get a trike ride?
Your
first thing at Aviator before you?
I sure did. That first morning, that's the first thing we did, and AJ was doing them that day. And I was asking him, I'm like, why? Yeah, I'm like, so are you feeling us out to see what kind of level of anxiety we have in the air and stuff like that? And he's like, yeah, that's part of it. He's like, we're also trying to give you a feel for what it feels like to be under the wing, what the turns feel like and things like that, what it's like to fly low over all those cows and birds and so forth that you get in Lake Wales.
We got a lot of people that jumped on. This is officially the after show, which means that we're still talking, but anybody wants to join us, you can. We put the username and ID and password for Zoom in the chat. Darren Locklear gave us $10. Thank you very much. Did I say that right? I hope so. Donated $5, and DP also gave us $5 and said, thanks for the host, panel, and guests. JP, can you hang with us, or you got to go?
I gotta head out here in a minute, but I wanted to just real quick show a video.
Okay.
That I've got. He said he's never seen a foot launch tandem, and I've got a quick clip right here. I'm gonna take you out of my ear. Hang on.
But we liked to be in your ear, JP.
So this was
how is everybody?
That's a foot launch tandem, which is still, it's just as safe. It's a little bit tricky because you gotta be careful not to trip over each other's feet. But it's a lot more mobile than having to run on the trike.
Do they always have to run longer than the pilot in the back?
I think, yeah.
She took an extra 5 or 6 steps after he's in the air.
Yeah, typically that's the way the weight distribution kind of works out.
So he's up, she's still running.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would think that
in the front run spinning, right?
The pilot is supposed to run with his feet apart, and the person in front is supposed to run
awkward,
together.
Man.
Yeah,
it's gotta be awkward. It's gotta be some skinny, cute, skinny little girl go up front too, probably for it to work.
Well, that's where it is in this case. So
I think you have to have massive skills to be able to be the pilot there. I don't see myself ever getting to that level, but I sure do respect it.
Hopefully sometime this month, Mark George and I are supposed to go and get our tandem. So
sweet.
Are you doing that, John? Well,
What's that?
we'll have to chat because I've been interested in that as well.
George, David, somebody even closer to you in Western North Carolina, Brook Sheffield. What's that called? Wheels Up NC.
Yeah.
He's just got his tandem certification, and he's going to start instructing here in the next month or so. So,
I
Will and Ben, they all know him, man. Y'all basically are a small family up there, paramotor people.
Yeah, we're connected on Facebook. I've been looking forward to meeting Brook in person. We've the next time, you know, he comes out somewhere in between in our schedules align, I'll look forward to meeting him in person. Yeah, I enjoy watching the videos that he posts, and look forward to flying with him sometime in the near future.
Yeah, Brian, you say we're a small family up here in North Carolina. Are you insinuating that we're all related?
Yeah, you got all these Perry guys, you know, you
Kind
got
of North
the dad, David
Carolina.
Perry, the son, Josh Perry. And, yeah.
You want to be
Will, we
adopted,
didn't really
Brian?
want to say it like that, but yes.
Yeah, I can read between the lines.
Hey, I'm just following up
So
on the
David,
chats, man.
We got a lot of people.
David.
We got a lot of people real quick. How about a real quick screenshot? I mean, since we got so many people, count of three. We're only doing one. 1, 2, 3. Cheese. Oh crap! Crap! Hold on. Hold on.
It's harder than it looks,
Hold on.
isn't it?
Hold
You guys
on.
keep
Can we do,
trying it.
can we do fudge instead?
Control Shift 3. Right?
Yeah,
Oh, I was taking pictures. I just don't have. I just didn't.
Command Shift 3.
I don't have the sound thing going through this. It's supposed to go through. Okay.
That's Apple, Will. That's Apple. That's,
I was
we
trying
know
to
how to do that.
I was trying to teach Brian how to do a screenshot with one hand. It turns out he had a I didn't know I thought he had a Mac.
Yeah, I'm
Guess it don't-
behind the times, man.
Hey,
I
it
live in
don't
the
work
past.
on a Windows machine.
Okay, we did
Funny.
good. We got some good ones. All right, so
Ah,
that's what I wanted
man.
to do. So we are officially in the after show. Real quick, Dave. It's after 8:00. Well, it's almost 8:30. Holy smokes, we've been talking for about an hour and a half.
Holy
How long can
smokes.
you hang with us? Do you need to go? I'm so sorry that we went longer than an hour.
No. I should be good for another half hour at least.
All right, good
You
deal.
guys are my priority tonight.
Aw.
I love it.
And
Opportunity to play
and-
out, guys.
I'm on the East Coast, so it's a little bit later here.
Peace, JP.
See you, jptulo.com.
Peace out.
for everything.
Thanks so much. Great talking with you, man.
Have you, man.
Same as
JP.
JP Tulo. Check
Thanks,
him out on
JP.
TikTok.
Yeah, look
JPTulo.com.
on TikTok, jptulo.com. Hey, if you guys haven't yet, throw us a thumbs up in the thing. It helps us.
Right.
So, all right, guys.
Thumbs
I'll see
up.
you next week.
Good night.
Bye.
JP.
So who do we have in here? We got our guest, David, me, Sean, PPG Grandpa, Brian Haybill Waller. We got Flying Flamingo Jade, Will Fly PPG, Linda Anderson, also known as ParaMomUSA.com,
Yeah.
Eric Lear, Never Trust a Skinny Chef. Shane, glad you made it, brother.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry I'm late, but I'm here.
We also got
Shaney?
Walter. We got Walter, PPGWalter.com,
Walter.
even though he's not PPG. We got DP, David Perry, and Tim Paul. What's up?
Tim Paul, are you Sharky?
In the sky.
Sharky in the sky.
John Wayne made it too.
I'm
What's up,
Sharky.
Woo!
Nice to meet you, Sharky. I've been seeing your name in the chats for a while,
Yeah.
man.
Hey,
I
all
am,
right.
huh?
Good to see
Welcome.
everybody tonight.
Welcome,
Welcome.
welcome.
Absolutely. Welcome, everybody.
John Wayne.
Yeah.
What do we want to talk about? Do we want to talk about paramotor still? Of course we do.
Yeah.
We love talking about paramotors. Did anybody else have any questions for David?
Anybody?
And did we
No,
answer?
just a comment. I got a comment. So David, I went and I wanted to sign up for this, and I took my wife down there, and we both kind of signed up. She was just a little unsure, and then all of a sudden she took a tandem and she fell in love with it. She's like full in. And then we were out at our field with our instructor, and there was another guy, and he took my 10-year-old up for a tandem, and she really enjoyed it. She liked it. I'm just giving her a couple more years until, like you said, you know, when they're a little older, a little more mature. And I think we would like to get her into it, you know, and just offer that to all the kids, because it is as they always say, it's as safe as you make it. and we're not into the acro. We're not into doing anything like that. We are very interested in the hay bale slalom. It always has interested me. So we're seriously going to look into that a little bit. And there's an instructor that drives around in a Waller hauler, and we're going to look into hiring him to teach us how to do this. So
Oh, there's some crap talking going on.
Waller holler. I like it, man. It's a stick. I always call it the mini winnie, but I think Waller holler's got a better ring to it.
I think so.
Yeah, I've at least got the support level of, the wife looking at RVs or tow behind campers, probably primarily, with the intent of once she gets to retirement, which is hopefully just a couple years from now, that we'll be able to take the three of us and travel around the country and so forth, or possibly spend 2-3 months at a time overseas in a particular country. And of course, I want to bring my gear and fly out of countries where I can fly, targeting places. Our short list are places like France, which we go to on a regular basis. She has some family there. And of course, France is huge with paragliding and extremely supportive of light air sports as well. So being able to fly past castles and stuff like that sounds really magical to me, as well as going out west and flying in Utah and all these other places. I see these guys flying, doing their little adventures from out in the central US and further west. It looks really exciting to me. I mean, the world is a fun place to explore on the ground, and I think even more fun to explore from the air.
Just don't land on the South Lawn like that dude with the what was it? The gyrocopter from the U.S. Postal Service.
Yeah, you gotta watch the airspace.
You're talking about castles. In North Carolina, man, you can go over there and buzz the Biltmore estate.
I have seen a video with Brook doing that. Yes, and I pulled up Flight Vector right away, and I'm like, I didn't think he could fly there. And I'm like, oh, I see how he did that.
I'm pretty sure landing or foot dragging would be frowned upon, but you can fly around it.
It's a beautiful property that I've seen from the ground, of course. And Brook and the guys out in Western North Carolina certainly have some beautiful areas to fly from. Yeah, they have to deal with the mountain weather and things like that, and cooler temperatures than what those of us in the center part of the Carolinas have to deal with. But man, it's beautiful when they do fly.
Have you been lucky enough to fly a beach yet?
Actually, I just got back from a couple days in Carolina Beach, which is about 3 hours from where I am, 3.5 hours. And I brought my gear. And, as I mentioned earlier in the show, I'm one of those guys that likes to ask permission as opposed to just, begging for forgiveness after the fact. And that really bit me in the butt this time on this trip. Hauled all my gear out there in a separate car. My wife and daughter had been camping out there for a couple days in advance before I got there because I was flying locally, and dragged all my gear out there past all kinds of fields in the middle of the day and so forth. I'm like, all those fields would be great to fly from, between Charlotte and the east coast of North Carolina there. And made it all the way out to Carolina Beach. Took a look at the beach, had a couple nice wind days, reached out to let's see, a private what I thought was the best a place called Freeman's Park, which is a stretch of beach that four-wheelers are permitted on, and looked like a nice quiet stretch of beach to fly from. Reached out to them first. They're like, I don't know. I'd reach out to the Carolina Beach Police Department and ask them because they patrol this area. So I reached out to both the city of Carolina Beach and to the Carolina Beach Police Department simultaneously, asked them if there were any, didn't ask for a yes, but asked them if there were any laws or, anything prohibiting taking off from the either Carolina Beach or from Freedom Park. They both answered, I don't know. And finally, the police department answered with, no, there's no law against it, but we need to check with the permits department to make sure you don't need a permit first, even though they had never even heard of PPG before me. And they were closed for the day. And then my weather window closed right after that. So basically asking for permission blew my ability to fly on the beach for the first time. So yeah, I'm a bit bummed about that, and I'm looking forward to going back soon.
Yeah, that's too bad, man. You're obviously trying to go about it the right way, and I applaud you for that. But finding some locals that have done it before and know the regulations and the places you can fly from, that's always the best way.
And I did catch,
me,
yeah,
I got
Brian,
on Facebook
go ahead, sorry.
after I trained at Aviator because of their Facebook group, and it's been a great way to reach out to people and meet people to fly.
Yeah, I actually mentioned it on the Western North Carolina side, I believe, after the fact, and I had a couple people pop up and go, "Yeah, you could have flown from there. There was, there, they've done it before." And I actually scoped out a launch point further inland next to a cell tower that would have been ideal. Unfortunately, it would have required me to cross, I think it was like 3/4 of a mile of open water before I made it out to a really remote stretch of beach, which looks like no one is ever on it, which would have been a beautiful flight in retrospect. But to be honest, at my skill level and without anybody else looking out for me, even though I carry floats and everything else, the prospect of a motor out over that channel and not making it to shore was something that, when I was sitting there looking at the satellite charts, I'm like, yeah, I don't think I've got the balls at this point to pull this off. Yes, I know technically I should be able to do it just fine, but I just didn't have the guts. And so I abandoned ship on the idea.
Well, Dave, here in Florida, I'm in Florida. We fly from the compound over the river to the beach, and it's just shy of probably maybe half mile to 3/4 of a mile to cross the river. And we just go up to about 3,000 feet, which gives you ample amount of, let's say your wing collapsed, your motor died. It opens up at 2,000 feet. You have enough to go downwind and land where you need to. But if you're ever down towards the Palm Bay, Florida area, Central Florida area, look me up because I know places and I can put you on the beach in a hurry.
I will do that, Shane. Actually, I grew up in Central Florida, east in Central Florida, and lived in West Central Florida as well. So I spent most of my life there. And so I'm there for family and stuff like that. So I will be looking you up, sir.
Yeah, never trust a skinny chef, Shane, or you can find me ppgshane.com. Just so
Absolutely.
you know.
I'm a subscriber.
All right.
Hey, David, you plan on going to any fly-ins?
With my wife's work travel and stuff like that, it makes it a little more challenging to book these things out in advance. I think I'll probably be more likely to be showing up in a couple years from now when she retires. In the short term, I'd like, if the timing works out, I'd like to be able to do that. I want to make sure that my launches are better than they were this weekend, before I go, because I wouldn't want to do that in front of a really large group of people. But yeah, I certainly plan on doing that in the future.
Well, I wouldn't worry about your launches. That's nobody's going to make fun of you or anything like that. We had this conversation between a lot of us, with Jade. That was Jade's concern, and the flying flamingo that you see there with the halo that she thinks she has. Anyways, and you could just catch a ride with Will. Just strap yourself to the roof and just ride with Will all the way down to the flying.
There you go. Appreciate that.
Real quick, guys, I was wondering if y'all could do me a favor. Today is my mom's birthday. She's actually watching the show, and I thought it'd be really cool if you can sing, or even if you can't sing, to maybe sing happy birthday to my mom with me.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, come on, everybody. Ready?
Let's do it.
Happy
her name-
Birthday
to you.
Wow. Wait. Let's start again.
Hold on. What's your
What?
mom's
You don't like
name?
her singing?
Her name
Yeah,
is Wendy.
what's your mom's name?
Her name is Wendy, or you can call her mom. It's no big deal.
Okay.
All right, ready?
All right.
1, 2,
Okay.
3.
Happy
birthday
to you.
What the?
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear mom. Happy birthday to you.
That was a train wreck.
That was, but yay. Happy
That's gonna be the highlight of the video.
birthday.
We're not going to make it on the charts anytime.
Okay, hold on. I think I understand the lag thing now.
Oh. Hey,
What?
we're going to Hollywood.
I think the problem was not the singing. I think it was the Australian accent.
Throws it off.
Hey,
You got the winter clothes on. What's going on?
it's cold here.
What?
You guys are getting to summer, and I got to cop the winter now.
What? You're cold?
Yeah, cold.
It looks good on you.
What?
Thanks, mate.
Walter singing "Happy Birthday" backwards kind of threw me off.
He's singing it upside down. I don't even know how you sing that. Upside down.
You guys are so difficult. Hey, Tim Paul, you're not from Australia, are you? Tim Paul?
You're muted.
I'm not from Australia. I'm from the
No.
United States.
There's a Tim Paul flies out here in Queensland. I got confused when I saw you, but yeah. As soon as you spoke, I thought, nah, you're not Aussie.
It's okay. You know,
Yeah.
it happens,
So
Walter. It happens.
you got a brother up in Queensland that flies PPGs, Tim.
How long's he been flying?
Probably a couple of years, I'd say, at least. He
Yeah,
flies a
good.
Tornado.
Foot launch?
Yep,
Yeah, that's the way to go. That's what I do.
Tornado, 280 or whatever they are.
You know, funny thing, I almost got the Tornado 280, and then the guy I was going to train with talked me into getting the Moster 185, and I did, and then I ended up I never trained with them at all. It was hard to connect with them, so I self-trained, but anyway, I almost got the 280.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, but I'm happy with the 185.
Quite a few out here with their conceptions, and as far as I know, they don't seem to have much trouble with them. Whether the 280 is different to the 200, I don't know, but
Yeah,
there's a lot
good.
of hundreds here as well.
What do you fly?
I got a PPC. I got a three-wheel
Okay.
tri Rotax 500.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit different to you guys, but just heavier, that's all. Otherwise, it's no different to any other trike.
Yep. I bet you're happy every time you land, just like us.
Yeah. It's always good to get in the air, but a good landing's always good.
Yeah.
A terrible landing sort of puts a bummer on the flight. It was the same. I used to fly GA aircrafts, and if you did a good flight and you did a shit landing, it's like it upset the whole flight, you know?
Absolutely. That's right. It's all about how you end the flight.
Yeah. I mean, you could have a glorious flight and then just a crap landing, and it just seems to stuff up the whole.
It screws everything. It's like cooking a great meal, but then at the end you burn it.
Yeah. Done that. Don't tell the chef though.
Yeah.
Where is he? He's on mute.
Oh,
He's texting his
Give me a chef.
girlfriend. Don't tell his wife.
Yeah,
Chef,
he's
gotcha.
preoccupied.
Yeah, he's asking for a beer.
No, I was replying to comments in the chat.
Oh,
And Tim Paul, he was in high demand not too long ago.
he was what?
I'm always in high demand.
Yeah, TP, you couldn't hardly find it.
Good one.
that was a crappy joke, Shane.
Yeah, I get it.
I'll try to wipe them up better.
I'm running a little slow tonight.
You got any better jokes, Shane?
What's that?
You got any good jokes?
Oh no,
He just told it, man.
Yeah, I think that was it.
The TP.
I'm on a crappy night tonight, dude. I've just had a crappy day and got some issues, and it's just.
Well,
We love you,
it'll
Shane.
get better.
we know you have issues, but you know you got to get over them.
We forgive you. We forgive you. You should forgive yourself.
Oh no.
Captain, where are you located in Australia?
I'm in South Australia, like Adelaide, down the bottom.
Sure. I've been there a few times.
Up
have
here
you?
in Melbourne.
Sure. The wife and I actually looked at migrating to Tassie, Hobart
Yep.
area a couple of years back, and unfortunately
Very
they changed the rules in the middle of our process, and we weren't able to buy property immediately if we came in. So we decided we were too old and to sit around for years before rebuying property.
You're joking.
No, sir.
Chinese seem to be able to buy property here, no problems.
Actually, that's part of the reason that the rules got changed. Actually, in this specific, to make a long story short, it was a specific thing that Tasmania had set up because they
Yes.
were encouraging immigration as opposed to the rest of Australia. And it was a special program that said if you plan on living in Tassie, you know, we'll basically kind of waive or help you through some of the restrictions. And it got taken advantage of by a bunch of students, unfortunately, that wanted to stay in the country and they had no intention of living in Tassie. So unfortunately, they pulled the program.
Yeah, it's a nice little spot, very cold. If you've been there, you probably know that.
It was cold and windy, and this was before PPG. So it probably wouldn't have worked out terribly well if I became a PPG pilot and then wanted to go to Tassie, because it's awfully windy and like you said, very chilly.
There's not a lot of flying places down there. It's very mountainous.
And a lot of trees, yeah.
A lot of trees, lakes, so on,
Yep.
et cetera, yeah. And like I said, it can get very cold, very windy down there.
Yep.
But hey, it's a beautiful place. A lot of sailing down there. There's a big river, so they do a lot of sailing. A lot of money down there for that respect.
Yep. And Aussies are always friendly folks, and you know, being able to get kangaroo meat in the grocery store is always a plus as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it is a lot more readily available today.
What does that taste like?
Astronaut food.
It's like beef. It's leaner, a little bit richer. In my limited experience, they also have fantastic lamb. Oh,
yeah. Oh, we do have good meats over here. Going back to kangaroo, it's very lean, as you said, very rich, and if you cook it right, there's no taste of the gaminess and stuff like that.
How do you cook it? Like a hamburger or what? Like a steak?
Yeah, just the same as anything else.
It's not like deer where venison, where you need to be extremely careful. From my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, Captain, but it's not as susceptible to gaminess like you get out of venison, where you have to be really careful, you know, to make sure that it was killed properly, quickly, before the adrenaline gets in its blood. And you know, just cooking it on the grill like you would a steak, it's like a really lean steak, probably more tender than the cut that you would normally get out of beef, you know, that was equally not, you know, filled with fat lines and things like that.
That's
It
right.
sounds like y'all are explaining elk meat to me. I mean, elk meat in the United States is way better than beef, and you got deer, beef, elk, in my opinion, man. You don't get the gaminess. I've never had buffalo.
Buffalo's
The
good.
other-
They even sell it at
Bison's pretty
Walmart.
common. You haven't had bison?
No, I never
Huh.
have.
Hmm.
No.
Yeah, they got bison, ground bison over at Walmart, so there's pretty readily available, I thought.
Is that the Walmart in Denver?
You need to go to that Walmart in Denver, pick us up some buffalo.
So Mark from
Beefalo.
Paraswag says, "Do you cook that kangaroo in a pouch? How do you cook it?"
No.
So is it like a frog? Is it like a frog leg? If you just put one of those legs on there and it starts kicking, will it blow your like smoker apart if it kicks?
I tell you, one of the guys, we went camping one time on the river, and one of the guys ended up shooting a roo, and it was too big to bring back, so he just cut the balls off, the nutsack. Do you know it's impossible?
Wow.
You know it's impossible to get the balls out of a nutsack.
Only Walter.
Walter.
Know what he's going to be
Walter.
talking about.
Wait a minute, Walter.
No.
Sorry,
No.
Linda.
No.
I sure wish
Walter.
you would have said that tomorrow night on my show.
I can repeat it if you like.
There you go.
Walter, don't be talking about koalas. There ain't gonna be no barbecuing koalas. If I have anything to say,
They
don't
just,
eat koalas. Please
yeah,
tell me.
don't worry about the koalas. You got to worry about the drop bears.
No,
They drop out
No.
of the trees. Yeah.
no killing koalas.
You're on TV. Look,
Woof, woof.
you're on TV.
Puppy.
You're famous.
Yeah,
Right there. There's
puppy.
the camera. See?
Walter's got koalas dropping out of trees. We got iguanas dropping out of trees here in Florida.
Y'all ever had jackalope? That is some good stuff, man.
That's some real good stuff.
That's good jackalope.
That's not
Jackalope.
even real.
The 8 point too. That's a big one.
I bet you had no problem
How
getting
old
the
is
ball
Red?
sack out of that.
Brian,
This
how
dog
old
is
is
twice
Red?
as big as he was when I first got him. He's about a little over 40 pounds now. He was 15 when we got him.
Every
4
week,
months old.
every week.
Four months.
Yeah.
I know. He's so cute.
Hey,
Look,
Shane.
Really
Shane,
fluffy.
He's a good dog.
I wanted to tell Shane they make purses out of kangaroo ball sacks.
Well,
There's a reason to travel there.
Yeah.
What do we say about that? I don't know.
Oh, you might want a nice soft purse.
Hello, the puppy.
Linda's like, can we please change the subject from balls to puppy?
I
Well,
know.
I have
John
I have something a little paramotor related that's not usually talked about,
All
and
right.
it's footwear.
Oh,
Right.
good.
So I got
Good stuff.
a great pair of boots that I had to repair, and the reason why I repaired them is because they're awesome boots, but the bottom started to come off. So you see all the green tape, that's just holding the glue on until it dries, and then I'll take the tape off. But these are Keen boots. These are what I fly with all the time, and so I had to fix both of them.
Is that from foot dragging? You ripped off?
Not a whole lot. It's back, basically the back heel. I went on YouTube and I noticed that a lot of other people with the exact same model had the same problem I did. So
I've got
anyway, I contacted Keen, and they said take photos and stuff. And I was like, well, I'm going to fix my boots, but if you want to send me a new pair, I'll take a new pair. But I don't think they make them anymore. So I got some E6000 adhesive from Walmart today, from Home Depot, and I glued them up. So hopefully they'll be good to go tomorrow, and the weather will be nice, and I'll go flying again with them.
I've got that exact same pair of shoes, and it did exactly the same thing. I bought them in Alaska.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're great boots, though.
They were good.
Yeah.
Till they let go.
What
Yeah.
about these Solomons or whatever everyone raves about? Solomons.
I hear those are pretty good. These are Keen. They're called Keen, Keen.
Now,
Hobos are good too.
do they have the little hooks on them that might catch riser lines?
Yes, only at the top. There's, they're regularly laced, and then they have. Let's see if I can show you one.
Yeah, that's
The top has one hook, but there's no way that it's going to catch a riser line, and I'll tell you why. It's because I go around it twice. I pull it down, and then I go around and pull it again, so it gets full. Anyway, like nothing else could fit in there after I tie them up. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
We don't have television.
We're definitely going to have to talk more about footwear and different things that we wear when we go fly paramotors. If anybody out there has a paramotor joke, please go over to clearproptv.com. It forwards over to ppgzone.com/clearproptv. Fill out the form at the very, you can just put your name. At the very bottom, it says your paramotor joke here. Write out a paramotor joke because we're going to be trying to put together some paramotor jokes. So if you got a good one, make sure you go there and let us know. And if you know a good one, put it in the chat. And if you know it, jump on here. Tell us a good paramotor joke. Does anybody have a good paramotor joke? I want to hear one. I need to hear a joke. Anybody?
Paramotor joke.
Yeah, a paramotor joke.
Be a joke we heard on a paramotor show about a midget.
Hello, good. Used to say I was in paramotor.
No, I'm not going.
Was pretty
we
good.
won't go there, Shay.
Oh, it was funny. I still chuckle.
Yeah.
Or is that the lickety split?
Lickety
No.
split.
That joke will
We
forever
have good times at these fly-ins, man. We'd all sitting around drinking beer. Some of us drink beer. We all have fun, and tell these jokes, and we get away with telling some that we probably couldn't tell on the show, I think. But man, everybody, just it's a whole community of people. This is awesome, man. Dave, I highly encourage you to go to a fly-in.
Hey, Brian, you just pointed out we drink, some people don't. Does anybody ever get picked on or tried to get pushed into drinking if they don't really drink?
Not that I ever heard of. Maybe if you're 17 or 18, but
no, I'm just saying, if you have a preference of one way or the other, no one's gonna point that out. It is what it is. If you get offered and it's a no, that's probably the last you're gonna hear of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean,
so I really do appreciate the type of people that are in this sport. And it's, again, it goes back to not just the drinking thing, but if you're a new pilot and you show up to one of these, you'll probably get a guy that's experienced, or 25 guys that are experienced, giving you pointers and helping you out one way or the other. And it's really unique in this sport. I'm glad to be part of it because I need all the help I can get.
Yeah, you do.
Me too.
No, that's you're talking about that earlier, David, about people helping you out, and that really just kind of hit home to me, man. Everywhere you go, these paramotor people, they want to help you. They want to see you successful. They want to help you get into the air, and sometimes they probably try to help a little too much. But
Craig Taylor in the chat just threw out a joke. He said, "What did the prop say to the gas cap?"
What?
You crack me up.
Oh, nice one, Craig.
Not bad. It's not bad.
I can't believe you blame Craig for that one. That was all you, Kane.
No, he wrote it. It's in there.
Yeah, he did. Mark H, PPG trike jockey, said to David, "How did you get started with lasers?"
So that was my passion before I got into PPG. It's something I started when I was, probably about 20 plus years ago. I'm currently the secretary of the International Laser Display Association. I back way back when in my first job, I was working 80-hour weeks and things like that. And, you know, I was doing tax software design, and you get a lot of time to try and think creatively while you're just trying to follow rules at work. And I dreamed about creating a space where I could sit there and just program light and laser shows that I could just run automatically. I was a big fan of Pink Floyd at the time, and you know they were big into lasers, as were a lot of the 70s and 80s rock groups. And so that was a dream of mine that I pursued as the technology advanced. And actually, the room that I'm sitting in here right now, if I aim my camera up a little bit above me, you can see some of the moving heads and things like that. I've actually got a home disco that I've installed into the multimedia room in my house. And
Are you running DMX for the protocol over there?
yeah, I use DMX for the protocol for all the lighting stuff. That's just kind of standard. I use one of the two major programs for the laser show stuff, and I run them simultaneously. And in this space that I'm in now, I've got 19 laser projectors, all of which I built myself. Several of them do glow in the dark type drawings. So in this space that I'm in, all of these walls around me are actually painted with glow in the dark paint. And so I use a UV laser that draws on them and, you know, basically stays on the wall for about 10 minutes or so, which is really good for, you know, timing with a song and things like that. You can, you know, draw a whole scene on the wall, or you can just draw lyrics or whatever else as you're going along. And so that was my real passion before this, for many years. And then I got into the whole PPG thing, and I haven't turned on my lasers in 6 months. So,
dude,
Brian's all ready to go. He's foaming at the mouth.
I'm
that's
just
really
thinking,
cool.
David, you know, I can't get into too much detail, you know, on the internet on this about a graduation ceremony down there where you went to school at. Can you imagine Mike Brown wrapped in a wing inside that room with all those lasers?
Mike seems like a reasonably conservative guy in my limited experience with him for 2 weeks. No, I really can't see that. I think he said he had a couple. Shoot, I think on the day that he got us all in, he and the fellow trainers got us all in the sky on the same day. I think it was day 5. I think the instructors all celebrated that night, and he had a couple hard ciders, and that was a lot for him, he said. So no, probably 2 beers, and maybe that's when he would wrap himself up in a wing. You know, he struck me as a guy that doesn't party hard.
So did you not have a ceremony at the end of your training or one of the last days?
No.
Okay.
Well, I mean, we all got our coins and things like that on
Gotcha.
day 5, but whatever you're referring to, Brian, I'm not familiar with.
I'm going to send you a link to a video that's private on my YouTube channel.
Okay.
I promised Eric Fairwell I wouldn't share it because it kind of gives away some secrets of ceremonies that they have. And, you know, the coin thing is one of them, but this was much different. I'll send you a link.
I look forward to it.
Yeah, man, you're going to like it. You'll see what I mean then.
Okay, I have my joke.
Okay.
Yeah, Amy.
No, I'm not. Get back over here. Be part of this.
Go ahead. Let her rip.
All right. Did you hear about the alcoholic transvestite?
No.
He just wants to, huh?
It flies at air conception now?
I don't know. Mark didn't have one of those.
What's the punch? Is that the punchline?
No, that's not the punchline.
Oh.
All right. So all he wanted to do was eat, drink, and be merry. Brian thinks it's funny, so.
I think that was a awkward laugh.
No.
Oh, come on, man! Why are you gonna pick on me?
I've heard them. I've heard them enough when I tell jokes, so I know what they are.
Hey, it's better than the last groaner you told.
No, how about the midget joke, Shane?
What about it?
Front of me again.
She said,
It's a short joke, Amy. You'll be all right.
Does that mean it's her level?
What?
Here, Walter, he says that means at my level.
As long as somebody's there so they can explain it to me, we can listen to more midget jokes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
see, I'm the one that explains those to Eric.
That's right.
Because he rides the short bus.
I thought
Thank
these
you,
jokes
Amy.
were supposed to be paramotor jokes. Just saying.
Yeah.
These are off topic. We couldn't think of any paramotor jokes.
Okay. Well, we need to get our
A
little thing.
paramotor is not a joke.
No, exactly. The closest thing you're going to get to a joke is watching me take off. That's it.
He flies
So
a
why-
wing.
Why did the midget always laugh when he foot drags the grass when he's flying his paramotor?
What? Why does the midget always laugh when he foot drags?
You make
Oh,
it
I
sound-
bet I
Nuts are
know
getting
this.
tickled.
I bet I can figure out where he's going with this.
Because the grass tickles his balls.
I knew it. I knew that's where he was going.
Gosh.
I knew that's where he was going.
Sorry. I had to change up the joke a little to make it a paramotor joke.
Okay.
Amy, did you get into the air on the weekend?
No, weather's been bad.
Okay.
Yeah, weather has not been very good.
It's either
Amy?
too windy or it's rainy. 2 weekends
Just
ago,
send it.
super windy. Now it's rainy.
Just
The last 2 days was great flying down here, guys.
yeah.
We
See?
were exhausted. We were exhausted yesterday.
Oh.
I don't want to go out there. He's like, I don't want to go out there. Do you want to go out there? I'm like, no, I'm tired. I actually took a 3-hour nap in the middle of the day. I never sleep during the day.
Siesta.
I flew for a whole hour yesterday in shorts. It was tough.
I'm guessing
Yeah.
the shorts have nothing to do with it.
I'm saying we had pretty good weather. I've got 4 flights in about a week here, so that was pretty good
Well, that's
for
awesome.
Alabama. This time of year is usually pretty windy.
We were going to go to Galveston. We didn't even go to Galveston Saturday because the weather was so bad.
I haven't flown since I flew over the alligators. That's been it.
That's cool.
Wow.
It's been a minute.
Oh, no wonder you're depressed.
Yeah, I'm very frustrated. Extremely frustrated.
I get it. I flew for I didn't fly for a whole month before that, before I got those flights in. So man, I was like I don't know, crackhead with no crack. I needed a fix.
I'm
I
just a noob.
needed an altitude adjustment.
I'm just a noob, and it's like 3 days, and it starts to creep up on you, and it's like I really need to get up soon, and you just sit there and I mean I'm pulling up windy blue, just watching. It's like maybe the weather will change, maybe the weather will change, and if a week goes by, that's painful. 9 days, it's really painful. 3 weeks, the one time, that was really rough. It's an addiction.
This is what I get to look forward to.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yes, actually, it is.
No, it gets way worse, Dave. Way
Yeah.
worse.
Yeah. Last time I flew was April 3rd, and today is the 19th.
Wow.
My gosh.
Yeah, some of us used to be married before we got into paramotors. No, I'm just kidding.
No, it's just been really bad weather. I mean, something's always coming up.
I'm still
Actually,
waiting for good weather to come up.
I got another question for David. We're talking about going a while without flying and jog my memory on one. You know, you had 26 flights when you left Aviator. How long did it take you when you got home? And you have a pretty challenging flight situation there with that LZ, I think. How long did it take you to get into the air? Like for you to realize the weather was okay and you to get up the nerve, take off by yourself without an instructor in your ear?
What?
I actually got pretty lucky, Brian. So my equipment came in. I immediately broke in my carb like I was supposed to. So that took it. I assembled. I spent the next day running, breaking my carb in. And then I was out to the LZ the next day. Weather was good. It was unusually one of the days when there was a PPG pilot there, just one. And
Sweet.
he was an experienced pilot. And, it's like, I hadn't flown for 5 weeks, and, I'm an old guy, like, I'm 52, and it's like, so half the stuff that I learned had gone already. And it's like, I, needed to redo it. But that day I had it. And he launched first. He blew his launch. He's like, that's the first launch I've blown in 6 months. And I'm like, go again. I'm like, I'm gonna do a whole lot worse. And he was like, no. And now it's throwing me off. He's like, you go first. I go, I take off. I ask him about it later. He's like, I think that was a textbook perfect launch. He said, you ran a long ways, which I apparently do on a regular basis. But I got off the ground just fine. I did a whole lot of really low flying because I wasn't thinking, oh, wow, I'm flying above a bunch of trees and, varying terrain and so forth. He basically walked me through the area around the airport before I took off, which was really nice. He's like, the winds are a little shifty over, over there. And, it's like, a lot of people have never flown around the mountain that's right behind, the LZ. So it was really nice to get that. And I've never seen that gentleman again. And, I'd really like to thank him after the fact, because I mean, that breakdown the first time I was there really kind of set my mind at ease, at least for that flight. I had a wonderful flight. I was flying, just 100 feet above the trees and stuff like that, too low, honestly, but the weather was great. And I really should have been watching for, emergency outs and things like that, which I've, of course, learned to do over time, in my area. But yeah, I really appreciated him going through that. And so we had another new pilot show up after training, also coming from, he was coming from Dunellen. And so I, tried to do the same thing for him, walk him through, what I had heard, what I had learned, the time period that I was there. And, we've flown together since then, which is really awesome. And, that's one of the nice things about this sport. We're not competing with each other. We're competing with ourselves, I think, for the most part. And, we all want each other to be safe. We want, this sport to continue to evolve like it has. And, we can all win together.
Well said, man. Yeah, you fell into a lucky, fortunate situation to come to your home field and have somebody there to mentor you right off the bat, to give you some tips anyway. So that's lucky. That's fortunate.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that was a one-time thing, and then I was pretty much on my own after that.
You had to help when you needed it, though. I mean,
yeah,
right?
that couldn't have been a better start, because I mean, I'd really love to hear more stories of pilots once they get out of training, especially if they do it remotely, get back to a completely different environment in their home space and be alone. And it's like, okay, well, now
That was
you
me.
know. Yeah, exactly. And it's like, okay, well, now you have no one to tell you that you've done something right or wrong. You've got no one on the radio if something goes wrong. If you get lost, which honestly was one of my concerns early on, it's like, what if I can't find my LZ once I'm gone? Because I tend to fly pretty low. I'm usually in the 200 to 400 foot, AGL range. What happens if I'm lost? It's like, how do I get back? Now I've got the Garmin what is it, Fenix 5 and Stewfly. So it's like, all I have to do is look at my watch and I can see, it's like, it's got that little red arrow saying, oh, your LZ's behind you. Now, of course, I'm lucky enough that the LZ I've been flying out of, for the most part, is right in front of the largest little mountain that they've got there, which is only like 1,000 feet or so. But it would be really hard to miss it. So yeah, I can always work my way back to my LZ no matter how far I fly or what I'm paying attention to. But yeah, I mean, honestly, that kind of someone watching over you, that pat on the back, things like that, that means a heck of a lot to those of us that don't have a lot of experience and are just trying to, get comfortable in our own heads in a new space.
Yeah, a lot of people don't have a sense of direction very good, like where you went, where you've come from. It's just go back the other way and, heading, compass heading, whatever.
I mean, if you were out in Australia flying, out over the desert, It's like, how are you going to figure out which direction you're going back in? I mean, obviously, you know, you can watch the sun and things like that, but yeah, that would be a concern for me. But yeah,
Shadows, you know, like you said, it's where the sun is. Where did you take off from? You know, we don't travel that fast. It's not like an aircraft and you're going to fly 200, 300 miles away in a couple of hours. Yeah. Even though you can't see your LZ, you should know which way to go back.
I know that the more I fly in my area, the more I understand where I am by just looking around. I know where I am, only because I fly it so much. I usually fly with my full tank, which gets me about 2 to 2.5 hours of flight, which gives me about 60 miles. And I've flown all over the place. And it's when I first started flying, got lost really quick. I needed my phone. I needed that map, that GPS to see where I am. Now it's no big deal. Yeah, here's something. Here's something.
Something Shane said earlier. No, it wasn't earlier. It was another show. But I was going to ask you, because you fly the most in hours, 2.5 hours. Does your legs go numb or anything like that?
No.
No?
It's not that my legs go numb. It's just from hanging there for so long. I'm just kind of, I want to make sure that they're awake. So even in my videos, you'll see me stretch my legs out and I just move them around a lot just to make sure that it's not that the seat isn't comfortable where my legs actually go to sleep. I just want to make sure that if you ever sat like at a bar stool long enough and you go to stand up and your feet kind of feel a little funny or something, that's
toilet.
Well, that too.
You know, that's a good idea, Shane. That's a good idea. You know, some of those bar stools, they have those little feet rests.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's a way that we can make little feet rests for
called a speed bar.
Speed bar. Yeah.
You know, you can get a footrest.
It's a trike.
Yeah, it's called a trike.
That's right.
If I sit at a bar stool too long and I stand up, I'm going over.
Every time I
I'm thinking the same thing.
Every time I land since I broke my foot, I literally look down at my foot. I tell it to move and get ready. And because that left foot gets stiff, and I work it for a good minute or so before I come in for a landing. I mean, landing gear has got to be ready.
Hey, real quick, when you go back to the, we used to be married before we got into paramotoring. Actually, paramotoring has saved part of my relationship because my wife likes to sleep in on the weekends, and I get up in the morning and I go fly, and I don't come back till 10:30, 11 when she is almost ready to get up. So, because before I would roll over and start like, "Hey, are you up yet?" "No, I'm still sleeping." And I'd be on my phone messing around in bed, and I'd actually accidentally hit the unmute button, and then something would be playing, and she's like, "I'm sleeping over here." "Oh, it sounds to me like you're awake. You're talking. Let's get up." And she's like, "No, I'll go back to bed." So eventually it would cause a fight because I'm ready to get up, but I don't want to get up without her and blah, blah, blah. So actually it's really been quite nice ever since I've been flying because I can take off in the morning and come back. And about the time I come back, she's almost ready to get up.
That makes a perfect weekend, doesn't it?
Perfect wife.
Honey, they're talking about you.
We love you, Krista.
We said you're perfect.
Yep.
Let's see if we
Just want to
trick
shake her hand.
Yeah, me too.
Wife support, spouse support.
Let's see if we can trick her. Hold on.
How you gonna trick her?
She thinks my background's on all the time. Hey, Krista.
So while he's doing that, so when y'all are checking your GPS, is it just basically from your cell phone? Or does somebody actually have, do y'all have an actual GPS?
I use the Skyfly High, so it knows where I am, where I took off from, and which way I need to go back.
Yeah, if you
Is that an app?
Yeah,
But they don't
Sci-Fi
wanna
High's
use
an
it.
app.
Yeah. Okay.
it's on the iPhone and there's a
I was telling everybody how great you are, and they all said that you're perfect.
Is it on Android as well?
And
no, I
think
don't
that
think
it's
so.
just on iPhone,
Yeah.
just Apple. But they got some really good free ones on Android.
Hey, Krista, we can see you.
Hi, Krista.
Hi, we see you.
Hi, Krista.
no, they can't
I love it.
I can't see you. Do you see yourself on TV?
I have no clue. It's way delayed and I can't see that.
There's no. Do you see me on there?
Do you need anything?
No. Why are you She's crawling across.
Hey, we see her. We see you.
We can see her. They can't see you.
Say, you were in trouble, buddy.
If you are or
You're in big trouble, Shane. That's
Gotta
never be on the internet too.
gotta run over to clearproptv.com. Watch this episode.
That was great, Shine.
No idea where we are right now, but you gotta watch it. It's
Put the wig on and go hide somewhere, man.
So what I did is I turned on another channel, another show.
Oh, one of the old videos.
Yeah, and she doesn't see herself, so she's like, "I'm not on there." I'm like, "Do you see her on there?" She's like, "It's delayed," and then she's like, "I'm not sure." So she got on the floor, crawled on her hands and knees behind the couch to leave.
Now, all your friends on the show had to say, "Hey, Krista, we can see you."
Yeah. They can see me. Oh my god, I'm out of here.
Shane, your friends suck.
Well, the funny
man.
part is because she has to wear a mask all day long at work because she's in the medical field. She's got her face is all like breaking out or whatever because of the mask. So she started this skin peel thing. So she's got like her face is starting to peel and everything. And I'm like, "What's on your face?" She's like, "My face is peeling. Leave me alone." So I make sure I pointed out that her face is peeling. She's like, "Stop it. My face is peeling." I know.
He's gonna kill you.
Yeah, pretty much.
Only if she watches the show.
And so I just want to point out a few things. For those who want to fly the beach and aren't from around here, I greatly appreciate someone like Dave who spends the time to make sure he gets permission. Because as someone who is part of several paramotor pages on Facebook that are Florida people only, there was a particular person who flew out of, I don't know, Ormond Beach with a 360 cam right over top of multiple people and buildings and stuff, and they're so not happy with him. So not happy. So
it seems like the people that get in trouble are the ones that are filming themselves doing things wrong and then posting on the internet.
Yeah, I think I saw that video.
literally, if you're doing a 360 camera, you cannot say you weren't flying over someone, because you know what? All you have to do with the 360 camera is look straight down from that point of view. You can't say from my point of view, I wasn't over top of somebody. But if the camera is 360, you can literally go straight down from that camera. And where are you at? You're literally launching over a family, small children.
Oh, wow.
You look cool, brother. Let me tell you.
And I think he's from the shallow end of the gene pool.
Listen, I can tell you that I have watched one particular post that has gone on for days and just absolutely disgusted with why people come here. They don't do like Dave does and check your local law enforcement, county, whatever.
You know, I won't defend those people, but some of them just don't know better. They haven't been told yet because maybe they self-trained or they didn't get any proper training or anything. At Aviator, the first rule they teach you, and it's printed above the chalkboard, and the main rule is DBAD, D-B-A-D. I think you all know what it stands for.
Yep.
No, what does it mean?
Don't be a dick. You know,
Yeah, I mean, Florida is especially challenged because I mean, somebody, the story I heard was during training that a beach passed a rule on the west coast of Florida that said you couldn't fly PPG from there anymore, and two guys took off. One guy took off, one guy was on the ground. Police approached, said, "Hey, you know, they passed an ordinance, you can't take off from the beach anymore." And he's like, do you have the ability to call your buddy and call him back? And he's like, yeah. And so he called his buddy, and his buddy basically came back with a bunch of curse words for the local police department. And then all of a sudden, a good deal of the west coast of Florida is suddenly not available in a state where there's just a tremendous number, you know, per capita compared to the rest of the country, of PPG pilots. And what a devastating blow to not be able to fly on the west coast of Florida. They have beautiful beaches, great weather, just a beautiful area to fly.
Well, Mark from Paraswag USA can contest to this. We don't have to fly from the beach here. We can go to a local airport and fly right over the river and to the beach within 15 minutes. And you can go and spend an hour going down the beach. Well, spend 35 minutes going one way and 35 minutes back, and then fly back over the river. And you will have some of the greatest footage you will ever get for flying the beach. My concern is, well, actually, it's not a concern, because the particular airport that I fly out of, to do that, you have to get a badge. You have to get permission to get onto the airport. And if you're like, well, I don't want to get a badge, I just want to come for the day. Okay, well, they don't open the office until like 10 o'clock in the morning on weekends. So you're out. And then they close by like 2:30, 3 o'clock on the afternoon. So guess what? I don't have to worry about you showing, unless you want to show up at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and sit there for 3 hours waiting for the winds to get right, or it's time to fly. But the beach over here on the East Coast is pretty much shut down unless you find a private campground that is PPG friendly, which I know of one. And that lady is super nice. She's just like, hey, go have fun, don't break nothing, and don't kill yourself. And that's pretty much it. That's her rule. So it's kind of challenging here, because you only really have 2 spots you can fly from and get to the beach, unless you go from the compound. The problem with the compound, it's a 35-40 minute flight from the compound to the beach. So now you've got 10-15 minutes before you got to turn around and come back. And you don't really get to spend that much time at the beach. You can't technically take off from the beach unless you go from a couple of different places. And the airport that I take off from is one of them. You can get there within 15 minutes. So I'm still waiting for Brian Waller to come down here. Jade, Sean, all you guys need to come down. We can have a little fun. Walter?
Is it not rule number 1 over there, basically, is you've got to be 1,000 feet above any populated area?
Technically, you're not allowed to fly over any occupied buildings.
If you're 1,000 feet and above, it's all right.
Nope. No.
Not here.
Not here.
But that's also good about this channel.
It's different.
All these channels, because you get to know people throughout the U.S. that you can fly with, and they can show you the right places to fly, because now you also have somebody else to fly with. You're just not flying by yourself.
It's different for general aviation, what you could fly over, than it is for FAR 103, what we fall under. We're not allowed to fall over populated areas with general aviation. Like you could fly over a city, but you have to be maybe 1,000 feet high, 2,000, depending on the airspace. 500. Yeah. So the rules are different, whether you're general aviation with a private pilot's license or FAR 103. Australia is probably different. So don't know.
I'm not saying over a city, but if you were at the beach, let's say long as you're 1,000 feet up, you're not gonna, encroach on anybody's.
According,
I think the
Walter-
rules based around something falling off of your unit that might fall and hit somebody. You're not supposed to fly in a way that ever puts anybody other than yourself in danger.
Walter, if you look at the my beach video, I can't remember which one it is. I only got one or two beach videos, but it literally, you see people out in the water and you see me go out around them and then come back in over the beach, because it is a rule. You whether I'm 1,000 feet or not, I would have done the exact same thing, because like Brian said, if something falls off your motor, heck, even if you're 50, 60 yards off to their left and something flies off your paramotor and the prop hits it and throws it their way, you're responsible for it. So the further you are away from them and the further you are higher than them, the safer you are according to the FR 103 rules. So again, if you leave the compound to fly to the beach, there's nothing but neighborhoods in front of you between the compound and the river and then the beach. Unless you go south of the compound, then you can go across and never cross over one house. I can't tell you how many people I've watched leave the compound and go directly east. Every one of them are crossing thousands of homes. And I go all the way down to the south and turn and go east.
A lot of people argue that a house, without people standing in the yard, is not a congested or crowded area. But two people standing on a sidewalk could be classified as such, depending on what somebody said.
Correct. I 100% agree.
Yep, the rules are set to, if you are at fault if anybody else gets hurt or there's damage or anything. The rules are written where you are responsible as a pilot for everything. So if anything falls off the paramotor, you fall down and hurt somebody, whatever happens, if you do any damage, you are responsible. That's the way it's written. And if you piss off somebody too, like flying too low and go over
horses or
cows
or livestock. Yeah.
You're at fault also. I mean,
Craig Taylor just dropped a thing in a chat or a message in the chat there. Actually, FR 103 allows no minimum altitude as long as you are not over person of a gathering or harm to person or property. You can under FR 103 fly over occupied homes or houses as long as it's 500 and above. So technically, I guess you could leave the compound and fly all over those across those houses as long as you're 500, according to what Craig just said. But
there's been some cases too. You gotta look at some cases that somebody flew and there's two houses within an acre, and the judge said that was considered.
That's the whole problem, though. It's subjective to some people.
It is.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It was
they did that on
congested.
purpose.
Yeah.
Congested. That's the word. Yeah, congested. Yeah.
Right.
It was.
They
it was
just wrote it
intentionally
that way
left
so that no
vague.
matter what, you're at fault.
There's an easy
Exactly.
way to fix that. Is just don't fly over that stuff.
Exactly.
We have plenty of
That's why
places
we
to
do it.
fly. I had just trained with Kyle. It was my first year into paramotoring, and I went to Galveston. I got invited down there. They're like, man, it's the best flying you'll ever do is on the beach. So I went down there. I had 8 flights under my belt. When I left, I had 18 flights under my belt after 2 days. But a lesson I learned is about the congestion is there was a guy flying a kite, and he was actually not standing on the beach. He was standing in the water. And I did not see the line because he was way out in the water. And everybody else was flying their kites on the beach. So we were kind of stay away from it. And I had the string come across my harness. I actually snagged the kite. And I mean, it's just, you don't need to be close to that stuff at all, period. That was a lesson that I learned that weekend.
Goes back to liability insurance. David, when did you talk to First Flight? Was it last year or this year?
First Flight? Sorry.
Yeah, the insurance. I'm sorry.
The,
that's an insurance company.
I'm trying to remember what the name of the insurance company is. We got it sitting on my desk, but it's all the way downstairs. I contacted them, I guess, just 4 weeks after I got back. I wanted basically I wanted to coordinate it so that I had it before by the time my gear arrived, which was, in a 5 to 6 week delay mode. But as far as actually getting the insurance and things like that, once I had the PPG 2 rating go through, and I was able to, and then I joined the USUA and then applied immediately for the insurance, with proof of the PPG 2 from the USPPA. Then the whole process was like a week before I had the insurance policy in my hand. So it was a really quick process. And they were, like I said, the folks at USUA and at the insurance provider were both, great and worked efficiently to be able to get things approved and done and get the insurance policy in my hand.
Oh, wow.
What kind of insurance are we talking about?
Liability insurance for
Not
third
life
party.
insurance, not life insurance.
No. My life is worth nothing. So,
well, I was going to tell you.
Because I was.
Do we know? Do you have the name of that insurance company? Because we're really been looking for some insurance.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, give me 2 seconds. I'll run downstairs. I'll come back up with it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay.
The reason why I say is USPPA used to go through the USUA, and that used to be First Flight Insurance out of Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. Last year, end of August, I got a PP2 rating from Midwest PPG, and then I called First Flight down in North Carolina, and I could not get anybody to answer the phones. I called even the president. I emailed them several times, no response. And the person that is on the bottom of the USPPA form, that was the USUA form, when I called her phone, I got a message, and this was August. Her message says, we will be out for Memorial Day, which was back in obviously May of last year. So I've been trying to find, and then I've called some other insurance companies like Falcon Insurance, and at least the guy knew what a PPG was. I called some other insurance companies. They've never heard of it. And I called the Falcon Insurance and talked to him, and he said that First Flight, he believed, kind of stopped doing that PPG and UA insurance, but he said that he couldn't insure anything unless I had an N number. So it was kind of like back to square one.
Those girls are not watching it though.
Hang on, something.
I'm back. Here we go.
I thought they did
This is
some too.
Star Insurance Company.
He's been in here with us, and then he
came
went
through.
to the trash can and started doing that.
You talking about that gargoyle on your lap?
What?
What gargoyle?
Oh no, I'm talking about our 13-month-old. He's what's the sound like?
I got
Unmute is on. Yes, it is. I can't help it. Look, the laptop mute. Sorry.
Over here, because we're registered and licensed, we are covered with our license for $10 million in any damage to third party.
Okay.
Okay,
Y'all see what David's holding
on my head?
Here's a copy of my policy. So here's the name of the company. Star Insurance Company. This is, as I said, the company that USUA put me in touch with, and the insurance providers representative and the USUA representative both knew each other well, and like I said, the process went through really quickly. Here is a copy, if you can see it, of the liability stuff. So it's $1 million per incident. I really don't think my 200 pounds of weight dropping out of the sky could cause $1 million worth of damage to anything. But just in case, it's there. And it, you know, if it puts people at ease, especially, I mean, if you think about it from the perspective of, you know, here's some dude that calls you up and you're the director of parks and rec for, you know, Podunk County, wherever, and, you know, you're asking for permission to fly something that he's never heard of before that has a prop that's going supersonic speed, and God only knows what you could, you know, who you could collide with, you know, in you know, young soccer players or whatever else. It's like, hopefully this, you know, this little policy helps put, you know, somebody's mind at ease. At least that's the plan.
I just want to point out, anybody notice that shovel? I mean, that spoon that Amy is using right now? That spoon is huge. What is that, a shovel? Oh my, look at the size of that spoon.
Shovel, isn't it?
Oh, it's just
That thing is huge.
it's perfect for my mouth.
Good night, Jade. Party pooper.
Yeah, it looks like Will's gonna run too.
Yeah,
And
Party Pooper here too.
What a coincidence.
Hey guys, I've got to head out too. It's
Hey,
8:30 on a Monday
hey, I
night.
got a bail too.
Okay.
Yep.
See you tomorrow.
David,
Thank
we're
you,
just
David.
gonna leave you here.
Bye, Dave.
I'm heading out too, guys.
Hey, David,
It's late.
I didn't get the name.
Thank you, David.
Night, everybody.
Thank you, David.
Right, thank you for having me on. Thank you.
Oh
Thanks
my
for
goodness.
thanks for being a guest.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Night, y'all.
Thanks, guys.
See you.
Have a wonderful evening. Thank you, David, for being on the show. This is PPG Grandpa's Paramotor Podcast. We're signing off for this evening. Y'all have a great day, and we'll see you next week at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. But don't forget, tomorrow, we also got a show over at ppgshane.com. Anybody else want to throw some .coms out there and how to get up with y'all? Go ahead and do it before we go.
Thursday night, paraglidingtalk.com. Y'all be
You gotta
there.
say it. You gotta say it lower.
I say it lower?
Yeah, like Robert does.
Oh, wait. Say it, Captain. Say it, Captain.
Paraglidingtalk.com.
Yeah.
Glidingtalk.com.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
I get so excited about that stuff. I don't know.
Yeah?
All right.
Yeah. Linda, you always put the East Coast twist on the end of that with the .com.
I know. .com.
We said, Linda, say it lower. She goes, .com.
Paragliding talk.
Mark George, you're not allowed to.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Peace out.
Bye. See you later.
Hey, I got a bail too.
Night, all.
Walter?
Bye.
I was just saying, I heard something this morning that you're not allowed to eat Amy's biscuits anymore. You're on a sugar-free diet or something. Is that right?
No, that's me.
Oh. Good little Vicky.
You're sugar free? I'm sugar free too. That's awesome. I love being sugar free.
Oh. No, Walter's my sugar.
Oh, snap.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Hear that, everybody.
Lucky.
Walter's looking for a green card.
Over.
Yeah, Walter,
Yeah.
you're lucky there's an ocean between you. You'd be dead, bud.
Made my day.
No, that's not what you say. No, that's not what you say. You say that's not a knife.
That's not a threat.
Oh my God, I'm crying. Oh, all right, guys.
Good night, all.
All right, guys. Good night.
Thank you.
Love.
Bye.
Joe.
They don't. Yes, they are. Parachickpies.com. Sugary sweets just for you.
Oh. And you can always find me at ppggrandpa.com.
She didn't say anything about biscuits, Walter. So
Biscuits are cookies in Australia and England.
Yeah.
England. Biscuits are cookies.
Hey, John Wayne, I hope your thumb gets better.
Oh, he
Me
put his
too.
thumb where it didn't belong.
I hope your prop gets fixed.
That too.
Props gone.
Oh no.
Well, at least your thumb's
I gave what
there.
was left of it to Kyle. So Kyle did what he could with it. You know.
Kyle's got plenty of molds to fix it.
That one's beyond the mold.
Oh.
I guess I don't know this
Thank you,
story,
Ron.
John. You're gonna have to fill me in later.
Oh, I just had a great takeoff. That's all.
Where were you at? Here or there?
Spring Hill, probably.
Naylor.
Spring Hill.
You were at Naylor?
Yeah. We was over there with young Woody. The
Oh
by
yeah,
the way, did you
yeah, I
hear
know.
that-
I know. He's
he
coming to
bent
get a
arm.
frame. Do what?
Yeah, he said he bent that arm today.
Yeah, not on our frame.
No, but on that one that they gave him to test.
Uh-huh. Who do you know what it was?
I don't remember the name of it. It's a new machine.
Yeah, he just
And-
sent me a text. He goes, "Man, I hope the Rebel holds up like the Alpha did." I said it's the exact same arms. And because he already tested our Alpha and he didn't bend anything.
Well, he bent that one from that, and it was a sturdy looking machine, but he bent it today.
He told me, he said that's what he texted me a while ago while we were on the show, that he bent it. Because he's
Yeah.
picking up a frame
Well,
from
Bill-
us.
I guess Bill H was following him around and started trying to do some stuff too.
What?
Yeah, Bill said he was out there pulling some lines there.
I love Bill.
I was here in Spring Hill today. I was in Spring Hill here today. I flew by myself today.
Man, y'all just living it up. I'm over here working my ass off. Y'all all flying around me.
I'm heading to Arkansas in the morning. I found a place where there should be some good weather tomorrow over there.
Where?
Sean, where's Sean at?
Yeah, where? Yeah, where?
Mount Ida.
Oh, okay. That's kind of far from me, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's real tough.
Hey, come up north, and you can play in some more snow on Wednesday.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah,
It's supposed to get
No.
5 inches maybe.
dude. We are supposed to get 40 degrees tomorrow night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
It's
exactly.
ridiculous. This is ridiculous.
Where's your summer?
Yeah, we might drop
Yeah.
down to like 80 degrees tomorrow.
Oh.
Brr.
Yeah, I know, right?
Hey, so anyways, this Friday is my last day of working for the man at 4 p.m. So pretty much after that, I can pretty much do whatever I want to because I am my own paramotor company now. So
My gosh.
Wow. So what would
no
you?
more working paraswag.
Gosh.
So
What'd he
what
say?
what were you? What did you do, Sean? What was your occupation?
I was a computer engineer for many years. Had my own company, and then after my heart surgery, I decided to do work for the man. That was easy and simple. So I went to work for Byte Squad and helped set up everything IT wise. So I was IT for Byte Squad over here in Conway, and the market coordinator helping out other drivers. And I was doing a couple other jobs too on the side because, this last year, my wife didn't have a job because of the COVID thing. She worked with the airlines.
Oh yeah.
So she just recently got a job working at a bank that she loves. She'd rather do the bank than work for the airline. She said, I'm like, hey, glad you found something better to do. And so, not all the strain is not there anymore. I don't have to worry about working so much. And this Friday, I'm back to working for myself again. No more working for the man.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah. I'm still in IT as well. So yeah, the computers don't care. They don't sleep. They don't eat. And they don't go. And they
No,
don't
I
care.
started working back when they were the 285s or the 285s or 286s and old DOS commands and stuff like that before everything went GUI back in '95 when Bill Gates decided to do his Windows 95 and
steal it
remember
from
America
Xerox.
Online, America Online pumping out all those free discs everywhere.
Wow.
Yep. Good old.
Yeah, I
I
worked on.
Commodore 64 when they first came out.
Yeah.
I had a VIC 20.
I worked on the big machines, the things that were sizes of elevators.
Oh yeah, the computer that is
Yeah.
now in your pocket that was the size of
Yeah.
a room.
Yep. Well, you laugh, but the
I
original,
know, I believe you.
one of the original things, they had a whole floor just full of disk drives. Now that same disk drives stand in a thing about 2x2 or a 3x3 four space. They used to take up a whole room.
Terabytes and terabytes of drives on this little tiny space. It's amazing. Yep.
Hey, Sean, if you, Shane, I mean, no, Sean, if you're a computer whiz, how come your computer's glitching?
Because it's not the computer. It's not the computer. It's the
internet.
There's a
Hey,
difference.
Walter, have you ever seen a mechanic's car?
Yeah.
Okay,
There you go.
all right. Enough said.
There you go.
Not the
said.
computer. It's not the computer. It's the internet. The
Yeah.
internet. I mean, I have a problem with the internet, so I'm going to go talk with Gore about that because he invented it. So maybe he can fix this damn thing.
I love it.
He needs to come up.
Hey man, it's cool. We just had the phone company come out. We had fiber optics in our neighborhood put in. So they came out and installed it. And when they left, I paid no attention because I was working my regular job while they were installing it, right? Yeah. But when they left, I went and looked at the cable is a little bit bigger than the optical cable that you would use for sound.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, holy moly. And we're running 1 gig up, 1 gig down.
Yeah, one wire. It's all laser.
I know. I love it. I love it.
Amazing.
And we're hauling butt too. And no limit.
And saving money.
Yeah.
It's cheaper.
Ours has phone, TV, internet, one wire.
That's crazy, isn't it?
We don't have a landline.
I remember the good old days when we had T1 in and we're like, wow, T1, this is awesome.
Yeah, T1. That was business.
That was big time, T1.
Yeah, that was $1,000 a month or something. Yeah, something like that.
What do you guys pay for unlimited over there?
What do we pay for ours now?
Hey man, this new stuff we got, believe it or not, the first year cost us $70 a month.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's not bad at all.
That's for internet. Yeah.
That's just internet. We don't need anything else.
We're paying 110.
Yeah, with the cable company.
Yeah.
We're paying the just for the internet. It's the Pro, $100 a month just for the Pro.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's somewhere around there. It's between 70 and 100 depending where you are in the country.
And I'll ask, what's the speed like? Because I know we got shit speed over
Dude,
here.
we're running it
Lightning fast.
we're running 1 gig down, 1 gig up.
Mm-hmm.
1 gig?
Yes.
Wow. That's
dude, we're hauling ass.
fast.
I couldn't believe it. Hey, when he plugged me in and he did the speed test, it went over 800 plus, and I'm like, holy moly! And uploads the same. So I'm like,
yeah. Wait till your whole neighborhood gets on.
I know, but still, man, I know.
That's what happened. That's what happened to me when I first got on. I was the first one in the neighborhood. Lady came to the door and says, from the old internet company, and she goes, we're going to be using fiber all the way up to the house. And I'm like, yeah, I'm there. And she goes, the rest of your neighborhood didn't want it. And I said, I want it. And then when I got it, it was 800. Now it's back down to like around 100 because
don't be telling me that. Quit busting my bubble. Come on now, you'll have me paranoid. I'll be checking it like the stock market every day.
Yeah. Your mileage may vary, but yeah.
You know, in 50 years, they're going to look at us and watch this video and say a gig up and gig down. That's it. Just like we look at dial up right now. We're like, dial up? Are you kidding? That's awful.
God. Dude, my very first game I ever played online was Duke Nukem 3D. And I played it and I had to plug the phone into the modem and it was going bing, bing,
yeah,
all that crap.
Yeah, 1420 or 700 baud originally.
Oh yeah.
Well, and when you went up
acoustic coupler.
And when you went up to the 28 baud, you're right, 28 baud.
Hey, remember when the PC came out with 10 gig drives and they said you will never need more than 10 gig.
Oh my God, yeah. Now we're over terabytes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Filling up terabytes.
I remember getting excited over 20 TV stations.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, the first house we moved into when I remember in 1976, we had 3 stations, 3, 6, and 12, and it was an antenna.
Mm-hmm. And maybe a UHF channel, maybe.
Yeah. And then we got cable, and my dad got HBO, and it was game on, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Up in Land O'Lakes, Wisconsin, we got one television station when I was a kid, and an airplane hit that tower, and we had no TV for 13 months.
Oh God!
Only
And I'm
tower
all
in the
out of
sky.
Yeah.
Only tower in the sky. Dude. I was like,
Yep,
come
the
on.
only one.
They need some
The
robots.
airplane hit it and knocked it down.
Sure, he wasn't a PPG pilot.
There was a Santa.
I didn't see it yesterday.
Hey, we were talking about this stuff the other day and doing flashbacks. Did any of you guys have a party line?
Yes.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
Yes.
Party
sure.
line.
When I was
Sure.
5 years old, and we used to drive the lady on the party line crazy because we would pick up and we would listen, and she'd get so pissed. She'd say, "Get off the line, get off the line," and we.
Dude, they would do us the same way, and I'd hit the little receiver thing. I go,
Yep.
click, and I cover it up. Real. I still know you're there. I still know you're there.
Yep.
I'm like, well, would you get off? Because I need to make a phone call.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was
And
hilarious.
see, the crazy thing
What was
is,
nice about the party line was that if you missed a call or you didn't remember what somebody said, you could always call up Mrs. Magnuson because she heard every conversation.
she picked up every call.
she was your secretary.
Yeah. You knew everything you needed to know.
That's because she was a Russian spy, and you just didn't know it.
That's right. That was
Yeah,
Russia's
could
big
be.
brother.
Yeah, I was gonna say she's Big Brother before Big Brother happened.
Big sister.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Right.
she eventually was retired from the NSA. So
Whatever.
Hey, listen, brother. I want to tell you guys something. I went out and flew with Mark McElroy this last weekend
Yeah, I
out
saw
in
that.
Atlanta. Yeah, that was his. It's supposed to have been the last flight out of his yard, but I guess there's a holdup on the house or something. So maybe they'll fly again. But he had a pretty nice crowd out there that day. But he had a lot of people he flies with out there.
That's cool.
Somebody said he was having engine problems or something? I seen Shane
so.
talking about it or something earlier.
I know Shane was having problems with his.
Oh, is that Shane is having problems?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's why he's having a bad day. Hey, a quick question. When y'all are talking about business and everything, do you plan on having like a type of grand opening, whatever intro? Here I am.
Are we
thing?
gonna have like a ribbon cutting and all
Yeah.
that good stuff with like some giant scissors?
Are you talking
And
about me?
balloons going off in the air.
Are you
Can we have
talking-
some white doves and all that good
No, I was gonna
junk?
say balloons going out in the air.
We're just wondering about the Paramotor College.
Oh, well, see, what I'm doing is I'm going to get the paramotorcollege.com fixed up.
.com.
Fixed up first. I'm also going to go train with Aviator and Kyle and some other trainers before I officially open up the school.
Okay, I have some bad news.
Okay.
Okay.
He keeps forgetting to tell you.
Yes, I keep forgetting to tell you. It's not like super important, but it's not good news.
It'll pop your bubble.
Yeah, a little bit because you brought it up tonight.
And I told him, I said, you got to tell him. You keep forgetting to tell him. You better tell him soon.
The guy we were training with for tandem,
Yeah.
he's out.
He's decided to cut business.
I bought a bunch of his stuff. That's the guy that was selling the stuff I told you about the wings for your school.
Oh, okay.
He's decided
Yeah.
to just fly. every now and then.
He said he told me this is exact words because I hated to hear this because he was in it full heartedly, you know, and he's got a good school and a good reputation. But he said he knew when he started this he wasn't going to do it forever.
Right.
And he's found something else that he wants to venture off into as far as business, and that's why he had a talk with his wife, and that's what he decided to do. So I basically, the frame that I sent him to get my training and all that, I told he's going to sell it. And I got some wings and some helmets and I got Amy a brand new reserve coming. So
he said, I'm official now for going off into the
yeah,
Wild Blue Yonder since I have a reserve now.
What kind of reserve did you get?
it's an APCO Mayday.
Oh, okay.
118. Yeah, 118, I think. LT. 18 LT.
Well, with me not working and me doing paramotors full time, you know, maybe we can go out and fly more, and I can try your frames and your wings. Which
I've got some sitting here right now. I've got a what color do I have? I have a solid red one with the red swing arms and handle, and then I have a red, white, and blue one with red swing arms and a blue handle and white tank.
You know what's really interesting is I bought some of that Dogecoin back in December when it was like 0.001 cent, and I bought like $100 worth. Had like 40 or 45,000 coins, and I looked on Robinhood today, and I might be able to buy some frames and stuff from you guys.
You know, that's funny. Kent Stamey. We all know who Kent is, right?
Mhm.
The donator
Yeah,
from heaven. I mean, golly.
Right.
It's like I had to ask him when I met him, like, what the freak do you do for a living? I mean, like, you're like paying everybody's wages on these shows. What do you do? I mean,
And he sure don't look like it, does he?
no, he is very humble. He's a good dude, man. He just got a new wing from us, actually. But what was the reason I was telling you?
Bitcoin.
Oh, yes.
Bitcoins.
He bought a new wing with his Bitcoin money. And then this weekend, after he made the commitment and made part of the payment, he said this weekend the Bitcoin fell off.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, it goes up and down. It's
Well,
fine.
it went down because they're saying that the government has some regulations that they're going to start imposing on cryptocurrency. So a lot of people, are selling off.
They want to get their cut. You know, the government.
Of course.
And
Really,
they want
y'all want to sell weed? Sure, sell weed, but we want our cut,
They
even
just-
though it's not
yeah.
legal.
They just sit back and say what's the most successful.
Even though it's not legally federally legal, y'all can go ahead and do it and pay us, and we'll let you do it.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's like
I hate hearing that because I told Mark the other day, I said, we need to talk to Sean and do some of that Bitcoin stuff.
well, it's funny.
It's a gamble, man. I don't
know,
know.
that's
Yeah.
why.
I think those are one of those fad things that you got to get in when it's hot.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, tomorrow is the 420, and Dogecoin right now is running at right about 40 cents a coin, and they're expecting it to get up to $1 a coin.
Really?
You want some coinage?
So how do I get some? How do I get some of this?
It's easy. Just go on to Robinhood and buy some Dogecoin.
You said it goes on sale tomorrow?
No. You can buy it anytime. It's
So right now it's how much? 40 cents.
About 40 cents a coin. So if you buy, a couple coins now, I'd say hundreds of dollars, as much as you can pump.
Of course.
It's supposed to double tomorrow. It's supposed to be the big Dogecoin thing. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I sold off a bunch of my old other stocks and just bought a whole bunch, hoping that it does double. So
Robinhood, that's
Didn't Robinhood have like fee? It's hard to get your money. You have to have so much in the account before you can get your cash out.
I run money in and out of that all the time. It's like it's almost instantaneous.
We'll look into it.
Yeah.
Look into it. And that coin is called what, Sean?
DOGE, Dogecoin.
Okay.
And if you haven't, do you guys use Robinhood?
I have a Robinhood account, but I've heard people say that you can't get your money out unless it hits a certain amount, like a certain number, and then you can get your money out. Otherwise, it just sits there and you can't do anything with it.
Uh-oh, my wife is calling me.
That is time to go.
Thank you guys
Yep.
for being here on the show.
Yep. Take care.
On that note, since my wife is in bed next door.
Yeah.
Hey, did y'all hear the name of that insurance company? Because I never did get it.
Yeah, it was Star, STARR.
Yeah.
R.
Two R's.
ARR. Okay.
And I also heard two first flight insurance.
Yeah, but I don't.
Flight's a flight.
But I don't think they're doing it anymore. I like I said, I called First Flight last year. They never answered my calls. They never returned my emails. So US.
So it's Star
USA.
You don't think
may have
somebody
won.
you don't think somebody put the word out about Mark H getting in touch with them and they like blackballed you or something, do you?
They could. I called the president. I called the vice president.
It's like he's calling all of us, man. Blackball this number right here. You see this email?
I even called from a fake number. So there you go. From a ghost
He's
number.
like, he already had that conspiracy theory in his head. He's like, I'm gonna crush that right now.
Just like
there
this,
you
when
go.
someone tries to call you from a different number and you know they're selling you something. Nope.
Well, see, they're connected, Mark. You didn't know that. They're connected with Big Brother, and they knew every phone that you would call from. So
That
they
figures.
blocked
Yeah,
all that stuff.
The NSA has my data all over it. I'm sure.
Yeah. Your family and everything is blocked.
Particularly.
They just laugh and say, "Look at him try to call us again."
Yep.
Look at him. He's calling the president right now. Look at him. He thinks he's finna get somewhere.
It's like, John, he just called me. He might be calling you next.
Yeah, this is Margaret. This is from her swag. I'm calling the president. Yeah.
I'm sending the president a strongly worded letter.
Yeah. Hey guys, y'all have a good evening.
You too.
John,
Take care.
I was gonna call you today, and I got caught up and stuff. I was late even picking Amy up from work.
That's no problem. I'm busy all this week, but I tell you what, by 4 o'clock on Friday, I'm good. You can call me.
All right,
anytime.
I'll holler at you this weekend.
All right. So
Mark,
good weather to
go.
come out.
Yes.
Mark, before you go, have you had any inquiries from Australia with those proper leases?
No, I haven't. Let me think. I had somebody from Guatemala get a hold of me.
That's not Australia.
No.
Yeah. What are you
No.
doing? Putting the word on the street, Walter?
Hey Walter, I got something new coming. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about putting the word out on nothing. I got a new prop hub coming where I'm not having to actually buy it from somebody else to sell it.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
I got my own prop hub coming. Don't worry about it.
Yep.
You know,
No.
Rip Man riding on our Paramotor Nation. Rip's been flying one of these prop hubs for a year almost now. So it's fully tested. I just had to find somebody to machine it, and I found a guy in New York that's going to do it for a reasonable price. So they'll be coming up. He's on them right now. He's making them right now.
Is that similar to the one the Europeans have?
It's kind of similar. It's kind of similar. It's in a star form. It's the lightest all metal prop hub out there. Quick release, I promise you.
And it's pee free.
And it's what?
Pee free.
What does that mean?
European, it's pee free.
Okay.
Oh,
on that note, we had a great show.
You better not ever say anything about any of my groaners from now on, because she has been groaning us tonight, and she's usually really witty.
You want my last groaner for the night?
Oh my god. Last one.
Okay, this husband went to a therapist because he said, "I'm really concerned. I think my wife is dead." And they're like, "Well, why do you think that?" And he said, "Well, the sex is about the same, but the laundry's starting to pile up."
Oh.
And with that, good night.
That was a good one. We needed that when Shane was in here.
All right. Say good night, because
y'all have a good evening.
Say good night, Amy.
Yeah.
Good night.
We are done. My poor viewers, my poor listeners are like,
Hey.
what the hell is going on with this show?
Hey, I live here. Feel for me.
George, before you go, I got a good one for you.
Yes, sir.
The 5 facts of having a good woman. The first one is she's got to listen to you. The second one is she's got to make you laugh. The third one is she's got to be a good cook. The fourth one is she's got to be good in bed.
And
the fifth one is make sure the other 4 don't find out about the other ones.
Oh, geez.
Okay, we really got to go now.
All right.
That's from Walter from Down Under. This is PPG Grandpa at PPG Grandpa's Paramotor Podcast, clearproptv.com, and paratalk.org. Y'all have a great evening. Good night. We'll see you tomorrow on ppgshane.com.
.com.
Good night.
Go on.
Good night.
Paris Wagyu.
It stopped.